across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. It is Talk, and it is Petrie, and I am with you now for the next 3 hours. And of course, at midnight, coming up, it is Talk Back. That's when you get the chance to do exactly that. And I want to talk to you about social care. Now, the other day we talked about it from a completely different point of view, a completely different angle. But this time, I want to talk to you about the cost of social care and who should pay for it. Now, there are so many different versions. We don't have any policy, as usual, from this new Prime Minister. He just comes up with an idea and says, this is what we're going to try and do. But there is no detail. There is nothing. And there won't be probably for another year, because Baroness Casey's got to come back with her report. That report's been brought forward by a year, so that and she will make recommendations in there as to how it should be paid for. One of the things being mooted is this death tax, 10% on every single estate in the country. We discussed that the other day and said, I can't see how that's going to work. I genuinely can't see how that's going to work. It already takes 2 or 3 years to go through probate, with only about 32,000 people having to go through that process. You imagine that, of everybody that dies in this country, and trying to assess their worth and trying to get it's a non-starter. I just can't see it happening. The other theory now we're hearing, even though it goes against the Labour manifesto, is a tax increase of 1.8% across the board. But is that fair? Is it fair that the very rich will get the same benefits as the rest of us? Because 1.8% to you and me is a little bit more painful, probably, than 1.8% to a million or a billionaire. So they don't really feel it, right? We will feel it. We will feel it if it's everybody that's got to pay it. So I want to talk to you about the cost of it, who should pay, and who should get that free care. And should the wealthy still have to sell their homes? What would you describe as wealthy? Where would you set the cap? Because I think that there should be a bar. I'm sick and tired of the wealthy just getting away with not paying anything, to be honest with you. What would be fair? The ultra-wealthy I'm talking about, not just people whose earnings is more than what you and I earn, but the ultra-wealthy. And how much does it cost you at the moment? What does it cost you to be a stay-at-home carer? And include in that, if you can, the career that you've had to give up, the life you've had to give up just to look after your loved ones. So I want to know about the costs to you at the moment, even with some kind of social care bolted onto that. Have you? I know you have to. I have to with my brother, so I know you have to top things up and pay for things and buy furniture and all of those things for somebody who's in this broken care system. So that's what I want to talk to you about at midnight. So give me a ring, give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but of course we do call you back. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. So that's what we're going to be talking about at midnight. Let me tell you what else is coming up on the programme. We have the fabulous Cody Darla. He is going to be joining us in the studio, comedy writer and host of the Truth, in My Opinion podcast. And I can tell you he is no thicky dum-dum. You'll get that reference when you meet him. So he's going to be in the studio to go through the papers and talk about the story of the day. We're also going to be talking sport. Rob Draper, a sports journalist. We're going to be talking about FIFA, because I want to know why this matters quite as much as it absolutely seems to matter. So we're going to be talking about the potential sell-off of FIFA, or a percentage of it, to Donald Trump's family. Wonder how that happened. Also joining me in the studio, I'm absolutely thrilled to say, one of my favourite guests of all time. Never met him in the flesh until today, because we just chat obviously on the programme. So the wonderful Bill Keeler is here in the studio with me, and we're going to be talking about communism and Trump and various other bits and pieces, just doing an American roundup while we have this fabulous man at our disposal. So all of that is coming up, but before that, Andy Burnham has delivered a key speech on social care. That was this morning. His vision is to create a national care service that makes social care free when you need it, funded like the NHS through public taxation or estate contributions. That's the death tax that I was talking about. His aim is to stop families from burning through life savings or selling homes to pay for basic support in old age. However, when he delivered that speech, I noticed that he didn't exactly rule that out. He didn't exactly rule out selling homes. He says, oh, yes, it's not a good thing to have to do it. It's not the same as saying no one will have to sell their home to pay for social care. And that's what I'm talking about with this man. It's all fluff and flower at the moment. It's all vibes. There's no substance. This state-funded approach mirrors the Nordic countries like Sweden, where local government taxes fund universal care for every citizen. In contrast, nations like Germany and Japan use a compulsory social insurance model where workers and employers pay dedicated monthly contributions throughout their careers. So there's quite a big difference around the world as to how social care is funded, although none of them seem to be as bad as the system that we have here in the UK. So joining me now to discuss this is Dr. Adelina Comas Herrera, who's Director of the Global Observatory of Long-Term Care and a Research Fellow at the Care Policy and Evaluation Centre at the London School of Economics. Very good to meet you, Dr. Adelina. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
I'm not a doctor, but still very happy to talk to you.
Well, I mean, we can call you that. But anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining me. When we look at our the system of providing care at the moment, there is no doubt about it that it is broken, right? It doesn't appear to be fit for purpose at all. What do you think has gone wrong with the way we've tried to do social care over the last decade or so?
I think we basically haven't done social care. So what we have seen is in the last 30 years, most countries have done something about it. Most comparable countries, obviously, some countries are very poor and different stages of social and economic development. But the UK really stands out as one of the wealthy countries that hasn't done anything about care for a very long time. And I arrived in the UK about 30 years ago as a researcher, and my first job was to make projections for, at the time it was called the Royal Commission of Long-Term Care, looking at the impact of aging and different implications of different ways of financing long-term care. And basically, that happened, it passed, and no decision was adopted other than in Scotland. Then there were other commissions, and no decisions have been taken.
I think there's been 22 or something so far. It's something in that region that, of commissions, which are not cheap to do, but they've all been ignored. Why is it so difficult? I mean, where did this rot start? Was it when social care was separated from the NHS and then handed to councils? Is it just been one of those not pretty, that it's not a beautiful policy to have to talk about, is it? Nobody really wants to face it.
I think that's definitely a factor. It's not something that we aspire to. I mean, we all get the idea of better education for children or maybe better health systems, but maybe we haven't been very good at explaining the good things that social care do for people and what the difference good care makes in terms of our quality of life, but also in terms of ensuring that our family members don't have to give up their work to help us, or that we don't end up in unsuitable situations, or that we don't need up through our entire savings of a lifetime to pay for care just because we have the bad luck of maybe having some illness, some disability that means that we need care from others and we're not able to do things for ourselves.
I think the other issue with it is it's not something that you even think about until you need to use it. It's not something we're educated about. It's not something that we understand. It's like for me, when I was, my son was little and I had to get him into a primary school, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what that was, a whole world that I'd never thought about before. And I think social care falls into that category as well, is that you don't think about it until you need it. And by then, it's too late. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and the fact that we kind of hope not to need it doesn't help. So it means that people tend to put it off their minds and not think about. It means that it hasn't been the top policy priority. When people go to vote, they don't say, I'm going to vote to whoever has the best program for social care. They tend to look at other things. But that means that, especially in the UK, this has been left behind in terms of policy areas. Many other countries have taken really important reforms and make big changes. And in most countries that say it's similar to the UK, except for the US, everybody's covered if they have a need for care, whether or not they're wealthy or poor. Just because they need care, they have an entitlement and a right to care. And we really stand out among the wealthy countries in not having provided that. As I said, the US is similar in that respect, but maybe
we don't want to be similar to them in terms of anything to do with care. That's for sure. Let's have a look at other countries and how they do it, because it is quite interesting to look at how other countries tackle this. But the one thing that they have got that we haven't got is a plan. Right, I mean, it seems, that Japan, which has got 30% of the population is elderly, but they have a plan, they have a system that can be adapted, in order to take into account either more or fewer older people. Which one do you think around the world is the best social care plan that we perhaps should follow?
And I think you always have to build on the structures that you have. And we're a very different country than Japan, with very different traditions in terms of how we organize our systems. So I wouldn't say we should just copy what Japan is doing, but I think we should definitely copy the fact that they're doing three things really well. The first one is that everybody's entitled to care, and they are very clear about that, and everybody knows that they're covered. The second thing is that they're really, really investing also in prevention and community support, because we often ignore the fact that there's quite a lot we can do to reduce the need for care. And sometimes that could even be living in the right house. If you're in the wrong type of housing, you may end up needing help from others to do basic things that maybe if your house was better quality, better adapted, you didn't need the help. There's also all sorts of community support that help people stay healthier for longer. And the Japanese, because of having so many older people, are really taking prevention very seriously and putting real money and infrastructure at community level into that. And then
I've seen the TikToks of the Japanese older people doing dance classes of an evening or a morning, or doing exercise classes as a community, and I just think, well, that it must be so beneficial, not just physically but emotionally and mentally as well. And we don't really see old people out and about in this country.
Yeah, and
they're invisible.
I think it's important we have environments that are friendly to older people and people with disabilities. That means that they don't have to stay at home because they're afraid of leaving and what might happen to them, or because the roads or our pavements are irregular and difficult to navigate. So there's a lot we can do to help support them. In Japan, one thing they're doing is training volunteers to detect frailty and to also do exercise classes to help people maintain their muscle mass, which is really, really important to help them stay independent for longer. And this has been shown to reduce the costs of care in the future. And this has been very well studied. So they really are showing that they can prevent quite a bit of need for care.
I think we've always had a problem with older people in this country, the value of older people. Certainly in Japan, if you're older, you're seen to be wiser, you're seen to have something to offer. In this country, I think that old people are shuffled off and they're pushed away as being past it. They've done their time. We're not interested in what they've got to say anymore. I'm not talking about me because I happen to love older people, but as a society, we don't seem to value experience and wiseness and all of those things. So societally, we would have to really change, wouldn't we, in order to think about how to care for these people better, instead of patronising them or treating them like they're throwaway.
The first thing is to recognize that we are older people in the future and tell ourselves. so yeah, you start aging since the day you're born, and the worst thing you can do is to create. Ageism is a thing. It really exists. It's a form of stigma. But it really is something that's going to affect, hopefully, all of us.
Yeah.
And it is really a form of self-harm eventually if we don't create the systems that we ourselves will need when we become older. I wanted to say one more thing about Japan, and it's that in Japan they introduced long-term care insurance in the year 2000, but every 3 years they tweak it and improve it and reform it. And every 3 years, they're making changes. So it's a system that's not static, that is continuously improving and adapting to the changes in the population and the science and society. And I think that's really important as well. So I think any country needs to do one reform, but basically what they do is, in my view, you need to make care available to everybody who needs it, irrespective of how wealthy they are. Then you can decide about copayments. And most countries, wealthier people pay some copayments, we call it, a bit of a fee, but not the full cost of care.
Yeah.
And if you're wealthier, you pay a bit more. That happens in almost every country.
Yeah, it does. I'm looking at, for example, at Germany, and the way that they do it. It's a very similar social insurance-based model, but the individuals have to drain all of their savings. There's no cap like there is in this country of £23,000. But strikingly, the German children of those elderly parents have to step up and pay towards their care. I can't see my son being very happy. No, actually, he'd be fine. But a lot of children were going, hang on a minute, I already can't afford my life, let alone yours.
But the German system has a feature, which is that everybody has some level of coverage.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay for the rest. Okay. So you're not facing the entire cost of care. And what happens is when you have a system like that, where it's very highly predictable how much you'll have to pay and how much you'll have to come out of pocket, how much is public, how much is out of private, then you also have the availability of private insurance for the top-ups. And so we find that in Germany there is a private insurance market to cover you for the copayments.
To make up for that gap.
To help you for that gap, exactly.
That's a smart idea as well. I mean, Australia seems to be very good. Their system seems to be quite well organised as well.
So Australia is one of the countries, alongside Spain as well, that have really taken very seriously the lessons from the pandemic, because it showed that their care system was not as good as they would want it to be. And so they have undertaken some major reforms. If you ask Australian experts, they will tell you, they're a good attempt, but it's not yet perfect, it's not yet working very well. One of the issues they have is one of supply. So they're really struggling with having enough care available. And that's a global problem. In almost every wealthy country, we have a shortage of care workers, and that's because we don't tend to pay them very well. So there is actually a global competition for care workers at the moment.
Well, I mean,
Australia is suffering from that. But Australia has a cap, which you mentioned before. Yeah. So it means that you are protected in terms of how much you have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, it's $71,000, £71,000. But Britain tried to bring in a cap, didn't it, under Boris Johnson of £86,000, and I think Labour's thrown that out.
I think a cap in itself is not what we need to sort out the system. I think what we need is clear rules of entitlement. We need to also have a system that is clear who's going to benefit and how we access. I think the cut basically comes at the end. To me, one of the main problems in England is that a very, very high proportion of the people who need care are entirely out of the public system, and they have to face a private market by themselves without any support and guidance. And care decisions are difficult decisions, and you're also facing perhaps companies that have an interest that is not necessarily your best interest. And then it's really important to have some protection from your public system guiding you through navigating this market in quite a difficult time in your life.
When we look at the costs of this, Andy Burnham is apparently sort of playing this down, and people around him talking about playing this down. But this is going to be expensive no matter how it's paid for, right? I mean, if you're talking about social care for everyone, all of those people at the moment who are stay-at-home carers, all of those people, they will be wanting some of this. All of those people who currently have to pay because they've got more than £23,000, that's £16.5 billion worth of care that they're paying for. So we are looking at quite a hefty bill. Already 35 billion, add on 18.5 billion, add on 16.5 billion. We're already getting up into the high numbers. This is not going to be cheap.
The thing is, the UK at the moment has a system based on people paying out of pocket in a very, very high level compared to similar countries, and also of unpaid carers doing a huge amount of work, and many, especially women, leaving the labour market to provide care. And that has a cost, and that has a fiscal cost, because these women cannot pay taxes, they cannot contribute to their future pensions. These will be people who will need social pensions in the future. So it's not actually that great, and we pay a lot out of pocket for care. And the thing is that instead of all of us contributing something, a little bit, what we have is some people who may not need care don't pay anything at all, because not all of us will need care, and then others have to pay a huge amount. So what the public
just spreading the cost
is to ensure us, to spread the cost, so that if you draw the lottery that you do need care, then at least you have some. Everybody else is helping you pay for the cost, and it doesn't all come out of your own pocket without any kind of mechanism to limit the cost.
Be interesting to see which way he goes, but he's got some excellent examples of what we should do, perhaps. Adelina, thank you very much indeed. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Adelina Comos Herrera, there, Director of the Global Observatory of Long-Term Care and a Research Fellow at the Care Policy and Evaluation Centre at the London School of Economics. That's a big business card, isn't it? Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie, and don't forget, coming up at midnight it's your Talkback hour, so it's your chance to do exactly that. And what I want to talk to you about is about the costs of social care, but I want to talk about those hidden costs of social care that you bear at the moment. So if you're a stay-at-home carer, and I know many of you are, that comes with cost. That comes with a cost to you personally, that comes with a cost to your job, that comes with a cost to the household, and that you have to pay for things, right? Because you can't get, I know this for a friend of mine's mum needed care at home and he had to top up the care package, and it was a fortune. It was an absolute, it was eye-watering amounts of money. So that's what Alina was talking about there is, okay, so at the moment individuals are paying these costs, these enormous costs in social care, and some people aren't paying anything. So if there is a national service, then we all pay a bit, like the NHS. So some people use the NHS a lot, some people barely use it at all in their lifetime, but we all pay into it, right? That's how insurance works. That's how your car insurance works, for example. So all of them work like that. So, but who should pay? Who do you think should pay? I'll go through some of the more details about the other models around the world at midnight and tell you about what happens in Denmark, what happens in France, the various caps, the various different things, so we can get an idea of what our social care system should look like in this country. And look, it does need to change, right? It is an absolute mess at the moment, and I think it's very unfair. I think it's absolutely unfair that people have to sell their homes to pay for social care. And you know what happens, right? The rich, as usual, get the best advice about how to move their property out of their own name, or, you know, pay the cost of putting it into a trust. This is what Angela Rayner did, right? With her property up in Manchester, she put it into a trust. Because her son requires care. So she didn't want that house to be sold to pay for his care or for her to... So, but if you've got the right people around you and the right money, you can divest yourself of your property and then you don't pay a penny towards your social care. You can hide your money. You can give your money away in trusts. You can give it away in future away so that you don't pay anything. For the rest of us who pay, you know, PAYE and, you know, are not in that sort of contact with all these people that can help, we're the ones that end up paying. So that's what I see as being incredibly unfair. And that unfairness, I'm afraid, is endemic within our entire society. So I just wonder if you think there should be a cap on how much you earn before you get this free care. I mean, you know, £1 million, for example. I think anybody who's got more than $1 million should probably pay towards their social care, right? I mean, they opt out of the NHS. They pay for private care with their, you know, requirements for health. So maybe they should opt out in terms of social care as well. So I don't know what you think, but I want to know what you currently pay to be an unpaid stay-at-home carer, because you are bearing the brunt. You are carrying the weight of the social care system at the moment. So give me a call. Tell me what's going on. 0344 499 1000.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And like I said, coming up, we're going to be talking about social care, so get ready to give me a call. Also, at the top of the hour, we're going to be talking to Cody Darla. And before the top of the hour, we're going to be talking about football. I quite like talking about football. But before that, I am so excited. I have been excited all day. Honestly, it's pathetic. I am a little bit starstruck with my next guest, who I've been talking to for years, but we've never met. And this is the wonderful Bill Keeler, who is a host of First News with Keeler on WIBX Radio in New York.
I'm starstruck.
It's just, it's the weirdest thing, isn't it, in our business?
It is.
Because we meet people down the line,
yeah.
and there is such a thing as chemistry, right? We knew immediately that we got on,
yes.
even though we'd not met. And now you've dragged your lovely wife and your father-in-law
through the heat,
to come into the studio, and I'm so thrilled you're here.
It's beautiful. We are so happy to be here. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's get talking about America.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot. The thing that I'm interested in at the moment is communism. Because obviously they've had a meeting, Donald Trump and his acolytes, and they've sat around and gone, what are people scared of? Well, how can we scare? Democrats isn't working. You know, all of these things, they're not working. Let's bring back communism from the 50s. But is anybody really scared of? I mean, during the McCarthy era, right, that it was terrifying to be called a communist.
It was.
Now
brutal.
nobody cares.
Yeah, I think. Listen, this is an old playbook, recently used, of course, by President Trump, but also by Vladimir Putin, because it's the Nazis that justified the Ukraine war.
That's true. Yeah.
So for Trump, all this is. I think what this is, in a nutshell, is you're facing a very difficult Democrat wave, a blue wave coming in November in the midterms. You have to find some way for people to stop thinking about the price of milk. The price of gasoline is a big deal for us. We've been very lucky in the United States, but we want to go back to lucky. Paying now on average over $4 a gallon again, all because of the war, which President Trump said he was not going to be a war president. He was going to do the exact opposite. So I think this is just a distraction, but it's a dangerous distraction. You also have a movement in the Democrat Party where you have socialist Democrats.
Yeah.
So
like Mandami.
Like Mandami. So what do we do?
He's a New York mayor, by the way.
We call them communists, not socialists. The reality is, listen, we all deal in socialist programs, don't we? I mean,
I'm discussing one tonight.
You were just talking about one tonight, and how do our roads get plowed? How do our roads get made? It's everything. All of these things come together. For us, it's Social Security, but all of these...
I don't know why socialism is such a dirty word in America. You know, the state of your healthcare systems in there, where the massive amounts of profits are being made by insurance companies. People are dying because they can't afford
It's destroying hospitals.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually one of the worst things, I think, but it's seen as socialist to help somebody. And I don't quite understand. I'm not a pure socialist, but I do see socialist programs that work, and they should work. Well, so why is it such a dirty word?
And I think it's become such a big issue today because of that such a broad line between the ultra-rich and everyone else.
Yeah.
And there's such a gap there.
It's huge now.
You know, we have so much wealth. What is wrong with taking care of the elderly?
Yeah.
But why is it taking care of someone who's lesser than you, whatever that may be? Why is it wrong to try to help them as well?
Well,
to have a
empathy is a
decent
dirty
life?
word, isn't it, as well in America, that Trump has already said. But it's the word communism, because I don't think that resonates like it did in the 50s. So he's going, he's a communist, she's a communist. People are going, what are you talking about? I don't...
It's working for MAGA.
Right.
Absolutely.
Is it?
So you have that 30%.
So that anything would work.
It is, because, you know, prior to this, we were, the only reason we must support the Iraq invasion is because we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, which, by the way, we have done successfully since 1980.
Yeah.
So, but that, of course, isn't working anymore at this point, because it's long far beyond nuclear weapons in Iran right now.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all caused by...
yeah, all caused. Steps this week was trying to show that when it came, it's one thing to show that this war or conflict, because we're not calling it a war, has only lasted 6 months or whatever, wherever we are, versus Vietnam, versus all of the other wars that we've had. But he used it to show deaths. And he compared the deaths in Vietnam to the Gulf War to now. But every American death,
like that's
every
a win.
death,
yeah, and he also
horrific.
stripped 4 of those deaths out of the list.
That has not gone well with military.
That's disgusting.
Families. Yeah.
So 4 people who he said they didn't die during the war, they died during the ceasefire, so therefore they're not part of the same list. I mean, who comes up with these ideas? It is absolutely shocking to a country that loves its veterans.
What
apparently.
I wonder, you and I both do a show, a producer makes a suggestion, and you say, well, we can't do that. That's a terrible idea. Isn't there someone, a producer in the room at the White House, saying, this is not a good idea?
No. Unless they're sprayed gold and you can't see them.
No one is brave enough to speak up.
Nobody.
Because you cut off the food chain. You lose the money. You have to survive to keep making money and to stay within the circle.
But this is now incredibly dangerous that there doesn't appear to be an adult in the room. I mean, let's just talk briefly about Donald Trump's health, because there's a lot being said at the moment, and it is obvious to a lot of people that he is not firing on all cylinders for whatever reason that may be.
Right.
I mean, he's doing the eulogy at Lindsey Graham's funeral yesterday. He forgot his name.
Yeah.
He literally could not remember the name of the man that he was there. I think at one point he confused him for a woman. There is definitely
sitting up, laying down.
Sitting up, lying down. It's embarrassing, and yet it's the most silent thing in America.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking. Well, I mean, people are talking about it, but not on the big TV stations. If that had been Biden, all of those stations would have been non-stop.
Have we reached a point where we are so partisan? And I believe that gerrymandering, creating these districts that are so one-sided, or the other side, that in your primary elections, to become the candidate, it's almost guaranteed that the Republican will win this district, the Democrat will win this district.
We have similar here with Labour and
so you have to go
Tories.
far to the extremes, and then you try to come back to the middle for the general. This is being tested. This system is currently being tested because of all of this. And
well, there's a lot being. The Constitution itself is being tested.
Yes.
And I have been absolutely stunned, actually, to realise how, and I'm definitely not trying to insult America with this, but how weak the guardrails are around the Constitution, and how easily they're ignored. I mean, you think of the things, the laws that he's ignored, gone over, trashed. I mean, even knocking down the wing of the White House. He had absolutely no right to do that. He doesn't care, and there's nobody to stop him. And that's stunned me, because we've had 5 prime ministers in 4 years, because we have the ability to kind of, and we shouldn't perhaps do it so often, but we can get rid of these people. But it seems so difficult.
Well, it's difficult when you have a sweeping Republican or Democratic victory. So now you have Republicans in the Senate and in the House.
But how is that allowed to happen?
And it's just a part of it's the people, the will of the people. And I think that we've never, though, had a president that was willing to step out of the norms like this one has.
But that's the point, isn't it? It was
is.
relying on the gentleman's code.
Correct.
I've never known a country rely on a gentleman's code.
How did we get so far?
I know, because everybody else, right? There's laws, there's rules. I mean, we've got laws up the up the Swanee in this, and rules in this country about the numbers of people and what you blah blah. It can get very confusing. But it seems in America the whole thing is, as long as you're a good guy, we're okay. If you're a bad guy, it's all going to fall
Well, the bad
apart.
guy is the other side, and the good guy is no matter what.
No matter what.
So I feel, we talked maybe a year and a half ago, and I said, well, this is why elections matter. Elections really do matter.
Well, this one does.
And in 2 years, we'll have the midterms, and your answer to me was, maybe that'll be too late. And, a lot has changed since then. I am a believer in the Constitution of the United States. I'm a believer in capitalism. I'm a believer in all of these things. However, we've lost our way, and we need to make a correction, and fast. Now my fear is Democrats win the House and the Senate. Impeach. You then have, my fear is, how does that 33, 32, 29, 28, whatever that number is, that MAGA number, how do they react? Are we looking at another January 6th?
It's a good question.
I fear that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I mean, my fear is slightly before that, and that is, of course, Donald Trump has made no secret of the fact that he's going to try and if not fix these elections, sway them in his favour. He's doing everything he can. Mostly now that the courts have refused him a lot of the things that he wants to do. But this SAVE Act that he keeps going on about, and that brings us back to the term communism. There is a fear, isn't there, that he could quash these elections, not recognise them, deny them.
Well, he won't recognise them.
No.
I don't think there's any question.
But how do you move on from that? If there's a president who says you're not changing the Senate, you're not changing the seats, I don't believe that we're leaving all the Republicans in place, then you've got an authoritarian.
And we go back to the gentleman's rule, right?
Yeah.
Al Gore, George Bush. Too close. Not all the votes were counted in that race.
Yeah.
It got so close it became dangerous, and Al Gore stepped away.
Yeah.
I'm no giant Al Gore fan, but what a great American for that move.
Yeah.
We do not have that today.
No.
And I think throwing fear at the credibility of something that has been so sacred for 250 years is so dangerous. And there needs to be a moment, a come to Jesus moment, where Republicans stand up and say, enough is enough. My country is more important than my party. That must happen. And
Do you believe it
I've been
will?
waiting.
Do you believe it will? Because there's nothing, it seems, in America at the moment more compelling than making money for these people, and they never have enough, right? And they're already kowtowing to Donald Trump. Nobody's standing up to him, or very few people. And if they do, they're doomed. Will they? Will anybody?
I have said yes since the beginning of all of this.
Well, that's because you're a good guy.
Extremely. I am a diehard and I believe in the system. But Mitch McConnell,
Dead or alive?
dead or alive. I've seen the photos.
Don't believe them.
I have.
They've only got to keep him alive until August the 3rd.
Yes.
And that's what's going to happen.
I have a photo.
August the 4th, it will be like, he's had
an expert photojournalist look at that who told me, who works with Photoshop every day, that is part AI, part Photoshop.
Yep.
Absolutely. You could tell by the strands of the hair. There's a halo in that first photo.
Well, the first one wasn't very well done anyway, because it had a different room number on it.
It did in the newspaper when you blew up the text of the newspaper. It just was but did he miss a moment? That was his moment to say January 6th was wrong, and any president, any person who participated could not be eligible to run again, let alone for president. He becomes president again and pardons all of these people.
Yeah.
Where are we going? I'm sorry, shame on every Republican, every MAGA who looks someone in the face and yells at them and calls them stupid, because that's where we are today.
Absolutely.
Shame, shame, shame. And history will prove us all right.
Yeah. I'm afraid it will. I mean, my favourite MAGA quote, just to end the interview with this, was a guy being interviewed about filling his tank on his car. And do you know this one?
I do.
Yeah, and he said, oh, I used to be able to only get, let's say, $100 in this car, but thanks to Trump, I can now get $220 in it.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, how stupid. But anyway, he said it with his full chest.
I know.
He believed it.
They believe it. That's scary.
Well, you know, history will as long as it's written by Trump.
Yes.
Anyway.
Or changed.
Or changed, like it has been. Bill Keeler, I could talk to you all night, as you know, but thank you.
And I will have you on my show soon.
Great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Love this.
When I come to New York, I'm staying with you and your wife, and
let's do it.
That's what's happening. Right.
It won't be as hot.
And it'll have to be when Trump's gone.
Yes.
Because I won't be allowed in the country.
I promise you it's coming.
Okay. Because otherwise I'm not going
I understand.
I'm going to visa.
Thank
Bill
you.
Keeler, thank you. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good evening to you. Just a reminder that coming up at the top of the hour, we have Cody Darla. He's going to be here in the studio going through the papers and the story of the day that we'll be talking about at midnight. But first, this story I don't know enough about, and so I'm going to learn this with you, and that is one of my favourite things, because it is fascinating to see what is happening with football at the moment. We've just had the World Cup. We all got sucked into that a bit, maybe more than we thought we would. But the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, who is quite the character, as we know, has unveiled a proposal to launch a $20 billion commercial entity designed to house the broadcasting and tournament rights to major competitions like the World Cup. By selling a 20% minority stake to private investors, including private equity firm Thrive Capital, FIFA aims to raise over $4 billion to distribute amongst its 211 member associates. However, the plan has ignited fierce backlash. European governing body UEFA accused FIFA of trying to sell the soul of football, arguing that public sport assets should not be privatised, whereas the FA is deeply concerned by the proposal. Critics worry that the move prioritises commercial profit over sporting integrity, and we saw that with the World Cup in America. It's supposed to be a game of two halves, not 4 quarters, with all the breaks and things like that, just to maximise the profit. The cost of the tickets for fans were eye-watering. You can expect more of that if this is privatised. So should we care about this, or is Infantino just doing his best to try and raise enough money so he can spread the love of football around the world? That's what he would tell you is going on. Well, joining me now, I'm delighted to say, is Rob Draper, who's sports journalist and co-host of the Football History podcast, It Was What It Was. Rob, is that what we're going to be saying about FIFA? It was what it was.
Very, very quickly, yeah. It was once an organisation which organised great tournaments, and it became a private equity sellout. I mean, that is the path. I think there's a couple of things to understand about this. As you said, Gianni would tell you that I'm just trying to raise money for the good of football and spread it around the world. We can interrogate that a little bit later. And it's only 20%, so we will stay completely in control of it. However, in an unaccountable organisation as FIFA is, where Gianni has, when there was an ethics investigation into him, he just suspended the ethics committee.
Yeah.
So there's no accountability. 20% of something that Gianni is effectively in control of is pretty much selling the soul of football. It's like selling a majority stake. And that new company they're going to create, which will have all the rights to the competitions. I mean, that is FIFA. There is no FIFA without the money that comes from.
I was just going to say that if that 20% holds 100% of what FIFA is, then it's not. That's
100%. I mean, the rest is just a talking shop and a nice meeting up society, but it doesn't actually have any power. That's where all the power would lie. They probably would need a commissioner to run that, and I don't know who you could think who could be a commissioner. I'll tell you what the NFL commissioner earns in the USA, which I imagine the commissioner of the FIFA World Cup might expect to earn $64 million a year. So if there was, I don't know, some kind of FIFA president who might be in line for a $64 million a year job after his presidency ends, actually he could maybe do it along with being a president as well. And possibly that's a motivating factor behind this as well. And of course, the coup de grace is the investment company you mentioned that is involved is run by Joshua Kushner, who is the brother-in-law of Donald Trump. So the nice cozy relationship between Trump and Infantino, which is such that Trump could pick up the phone to him and get a red card rescinded during the World Cup, seems to still be working very well.
But I mean, does Infantino have even the right to do that? I mean, who said it was his to sell? Who says?
He has to go to FIFA and he has to get the 211 members, I think it is, of FIFA. Yeah. To vote for it I think it's a straight majority. The issue here is that, just try and choose my associations carefully. I'm not saying that San Marino would be swayed by this. They're a European association. They may well do what UEFA says, but San Marino, which is a tiny city-state, would get $40 million up front straight away. There are several associations like that in FIFA, which are tiny countries, dependencies. I'm not sure even San Marino could come up with $40 million worth of football investment in their country. I'm not sure what they would even spend $40 million on unless they want to sign half of Elliot Anderson or something for San Marino. I mean, there are so many associations that are going to get so much money from that. So the likelihood is that most of them will vote for it.
I mean that smacks to me of paying for votes. I mean he's already.
Well, you might say that.
I might say that, which you wouldn't, of course. But you know, he's telling countries to agree to this or miss this extra funding, and offering $40 million if nations back a controversial plan. I think if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But Infantino. He doesn't seem to be very popular in terms of football. So I don't understand how he's still there. But he's popular with those smaller countries.
Yeah, he's popular with the people who he would tell you that the FIFA Forward funds, which distribute huge amounts of money to lots of football associations broadly for charitable aims, he would tell you it's entirely independent of his influence. However, it's very rare for a FIFA president to be unseated because you don't want to sort of rock the boat. You know, you don't bite the hand that's feeding you. You know, that the funds are flowing, the money's coming into these federations. Many of these federations don't have properly audited accounts, so we don't actually know where it goes, but they assure us it all goes on sort of artificial football pitches for young people, and so I'm sure we should just trust them that that's absolutely what happens, and that none of it ends up in the pockets of the officials of that federation. So that there is no in Europe, in Western Europe, it's not just the UK, in Western Europe. And even actually, there's a few murmurings in North America and the Caribbean about this. But he might be unpopular. But the reality is he will win the election in March next year. It seems very likely. Most federations will back him. Most federations don't want to disrupt the status quo, which serves them very well. And this is even more money.
Why does everything have to come down to money? It's so depressing, isn't it? But when you look at the relationship that he has with Trump and the relationship that the company that would want to buy this 20% has with Trump, I mean, the direct lines to be drawn there. And of course, the concern would be that then every World Cup would be held in the US, or there would be, even more potential corruption in terms of people paying to have the World Cup in their countries, paying this company. I mean, it seems to be opening up the world of utter corruption even more.
Yeah, I think Joshua Kushner would say that his company is entirely separate from Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of Donald Trump. So he probably would want to make that point, and everyone could either take that at face value or not, as they wish. But I think that you're absolutely right, and you alluded to this as you introduced this subject. First of all, it probably means almost every World Cup now would be in the USA once we've got through the cycle of Spain, Morocco, Argentina, etc., and then Saudi Arabia, because they were clearly intimating that this World Cup has been so good, and Trump was saying maybe we could have it again. So clearly they had this all cooked up, because that's what the investors would want. The dynamic ticket pricing you're talking about, I mean, tickets at the final somewhere between $30,000 and $300,000. You know, I mean, the tickets for an ordinary England game were about $5,000 to $10,000. That's here to stay, because obviously if you've got private investors, they want to max the revenue, they want to sweat the asset. So that's here to stay. I think you can say goodbye to, I mean, it's African nations. Some of them seem to be broadly accepting it, but I think you could say goodbye to ever hosting a World Cup in Africa again, which I think would be a great shame. There's so much there's many good things about the World Cup we've just had, but all the bad things would be sort of baked in now forevermore, because that's the World Cup that private equity wants.
And it would just change it for the fans, right? I mean, then nobody seems to be caring for the fans.
Fans do not exist in the way that we in Western Europe and Britain think. In North America, a fan, if you go to a match, you're a very high earning individual and you're willing to pay $5,000 to $10,000 for that one match. If you're not wealthy, you might save up for once in a lifetime experience, but you know, unless you're uber wealthy, you don't get to be in person at the big occasion. You just watch it on telly, and that's how it works in North America. That's the system they've developed. That is the thing that attracts private equity to football, and particularly to the World Cup. In fact, one of the talking points according to Politico is that they feel that in an age of AI, the idea of being at the event will be even more valuable in the future. Everything's going to be virtual reality. So being authentically there, those ticket prices the value will go up and up, and that's why they want to invest in it. So
it's so sad,
it's a completely different World Cup to the one that we have always imagined and grown up with.
Yeah, it seems like things you can't stop change, even though in this occasion we wish we could. Good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Rob Draper there, sports journalist and co-host of the Football History podcast, It Was What It Was. Coming up next is Cody Darlow with the papers.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a very good evening. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and of course in an hour's time it's your chance to talk back, and I hope you do, because we are talking about Andy Burnham's idea for social care, because we don't have any of the detail. He seems to be quite thin on detail and big on his wish list, and one of them is to have a national social care service. And while I think that that is a brilliant thing to aspire to, I just don't know how it is going to happen. There's a skills shortage to begin with. There's all sorts of problems with the private world being involved in the care world at the moment. He's going to have to strip them out as well. There's so much that has to be done. And look, kudos to him for even wanting to do it, right? But who's going to pay for it, and how do we pay for it? There was this death tax, this 10% on every single person in the country once they die. That's just not, it's just not even possible. It's not feasible. It's not going to happen. At the moment, if you have to go through probate, and only 32,000 estates have to go through that a year at the moment, it still takes 2 or 3 years to go, if you're lucky, to go through probate. So just imagine that times however many people actually die every year, and having to work out their estate and having to work out their, 10% of 50 quid that they've left behind, and they have to hand that in, and all of that, the collection of it, everything. I just don't see it. So the other way to do it, of course, is an income tax rise on everybody. So 1.8% is what is being talked about, although Baroness Casey is going to come up with more ideas of how we pay for this, which will be incredibly expensive. You keep hearing this 18.5 billion. That is the tip of the iceberg. That is just not, that's not even going to cover it. Because if you imagine at the moment, already it costs 35 billion a year as it stands through councils. So that 18.5 billion would be on top of that. But then you've got people at the moment, if everybody's going to get this social care, you've got people at the moment who are not entitled to social care because they've got more than £23,000 in their bank accounts. That money would equate to another 16.5 billion on top of the 18.5 billion, on top of the 35 billion. But also you've got people who at the moment are unpaid stay-at-home carers who supplement the care for their loved ones. And if they were entitled to a slice of this pie as well, that's adding multiple millions more onto the cost of, or billions even, onto the cost of social care. So how is this paid for? And on top of all of that, we have an ever-ageing population and fewer people to pay towards that ageing population. So how do you square that circle? And that's just a couple of the reasons why other governments and other leaders have gone, ooh, not touching that. So, I mean, good luck to him. I'm pleased he's even thinking about it, but how's he going to do it? So that's what I want to talk to you about at midnight. And I also want to know from you what it already costs you. So I want to get an idea of those hidden costs that won't be hidden once everybody gets this social care for free. So if you're a stay-at-home carer, you've given up your job, presumably, in order to do that. What does that cost you? So you've got to factor that in to the costs as well. What does it cost you on a day-to-day basis? Do you have to pay for somebody to come in because you still own a house and you don't want to sell it to pay for the social care? All of those things, I want to hear from you as to what it costs you to care for a loved one. And I know that a lot of you will be thinking, well, I don't care about the cost. They're my husband, my mum, my whoever. But I understand that. But I'm talking about the physical, financial costs even at the moment for you. So I want to talk to you about that. And I want to talk to you about who you think should pay this. Should there be a cap of some kind? Should there be, a a point at which you should pay for your... If you've got more than £1 million in the bank or more than 10 million in the bank, should you still get free social care, or should it just be free to everybody at the point of need? So that's what I want to talk about. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Calls charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. Now, though, introducing my next guest. It's been a great evening this evening. I've met Bill Keeler. He was here. Did you meet Bill on the way out?
I met Bill.
Oh, what a star he is. He's absolutely adorable. Cody Darla is here, who's also absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
Comedy writer and host of the Truth in My Opinion podcast, and his first book is out in November, but you can pre-order it now. And it's called The State of This, a Thicky Dum-Dum's Guide to British Politics by Cody Darla.
Yes?
Yes.
That's what it's called.
That's the one. I asked Gabriella to write it down, so I didn't have to keep asking you. Because it's a long title.
It is. It's a slightly long title.
It's a long title.
The title is The State of This. The subtitle is The Thicky Dum-Dum's Guide to British
Dum-Dum.
Politics.
Yeah, but it's the Thicky Dum-Dum, which is become your sort of code.
Yes, exactly.
Phrase
My code
now,
for existing,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Who ever thought that you'd be explaining these things?
What do you mean? What on earth do you mean by that?
Absolutely nothing. Before we get into the papers, this social care reform that Andy Burnham is talking about, he's already been warned by rebel Labour backbenchers, don't try to cut anything in order to pay for this. The Tories have told him that the only way you can pay for this is to get their joined up thinking is to cut things and not to add more to the tax burden and not to borrow more. Others are coming out and saying we will fight the death tax. He's learning what it's like to be a prime minister as opposed to a mayor.
Yes,
apparently.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
What do you think of it as a plan?
Well, I mean,
well, there isn't much of a plan. Is
well,
there,
I think your summary up top was sort of probably pretty accurate in terms of how complicated this issue is. I mean, it's certainly an issue that cannot be kicked down the road for much longer. As you said, we have an ageing population. This is an issue that is going to rapidly get worse.
Yeah.
The social care sector is an absolute scandal.
It really is a disgrace.
It's immiserating just millions of people who have to go into care, millions of people who have to, as you said, give up their jobs to look after loved ones, millions of people who are just spending their life savings on social care that is ultimately being fed into tax haven private equity firms who own this industry. And I think, Andy Burnham's initial, kind of proposals is a step in the right direction because it at least allows us to have this discussion and to actually work out a way forward. However, I think it would be quite misguided to remove the real reason why this is so expensive, which is because of private equity. You can't convince people to come along with you as the Prime Minister without being honest about what the problems in this industry is. I mean, the very extremely brief history is that social care used to be part of the NHS, and Margaret Thatcher then moved it out of the NHS because, there's a separate discussion to be had there with the care old people were getting in the NHS certainly wasn't stellar, which I think is probably one of the big drivers as to why Thatcher moved it out. But the problem is Thatcher moved it out from the NHS and then placed the responsibility on local councils. Who then didn't have the infrastructure
or the
at all.
ideas,
So what happened is the private companies filled it. And there's multiple studies that have been done. There's one brilliant study into local government and the social care sector, which basically reveals that the vast majority of this sector is run by private equity firms, foreign private equity firms, who are based in tax havens, who create complicated financial structures within their own institutions known as debt financing. They sell off the buildings that they buy, the homes, and then rent them back to themselves. So people are being absolutely taken for a ride here. So all of the numbers we're talking about, you mentioned 18.5 billion. Those numbers are so astronomically big because this is an incredibly complicated problem. There are many, many people who need it. But they're also so big because the costs are so extortionate because they are serving the interests of shareholders who funnel it away in tax havens. So we have to, I think, tackle this issue head on and remove that interference in this sector, which is so important.
That was in the papers, I think, today or yesterday, talking about stripping the private companies out of social care. But you've got to have something to replace them with. So it's, I mean, we can see the issues, and I think that is a massive one, and something we should be warned about with the potential future of the NHS. But it is still, you can't just get rid of that. I mean, we need to bring back community hospitals or you know, places like that, which I think getting rid of those cottage hospitals was, again, a disaster, because we need that second layer of care, which isn't as expensive as a full-blown hospital, that can take people who don't need that intensive nursing care and rehabilitate them, get them feeling better, and then at that point, get social services involved, find out what they need when they go home, and then, but they're at least removed from the hospitals. It seemed to work quite well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, from the thing we were just discussing, you might be thinking that it's very easy to just confiscate this industry off the private interest.
It's
but
not,
the problem is that it's laden with debt. So the entire social care sector is absolutely sat on top of the most enormous pile of debt you can possibly imagine. So the government cannot confiscate it because the whole system would collapse. It would cost them hundreds of billions, I don't know. But it's a reality that I think we need to become awake to, which has been, it's exactly the same system that is affecting our pub sector. It's exactly the same system that's affecting our energy sector and our water sector.
Yeah, it's all these big foreign companies.
Huge foreign, international, private equity firms and banks that come in and they asset strip an entire industry, and they exploit the most desperate people in our society, people who are suffering from all kinds of illnesses that require social care. There are people whose entire life savings and homes are being confiscated from them in order to fill the pockets of investors. And that is just a system that is just so mind-bogglingly unjust, and it is completely dishonest of the government to ignore that part of the argument. You have, because that's how you get people on board. You have to be like, this is a system that's run entirely rampant, completely uncontrolled for about 40 years. It's the same system we're seeing elsewhere in our economy, and it has to stop.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of people do understand it as far as the water companies are concerned, because we can see that with Thames Water, with floods every day, losing billions of litres of water and then putting a hosepipe ban on us. Just so that
exactly.
It's rude, right?
But also, you know, there's obviously a discussion around the people who are using this social care, but this enormous group of people as well who are, like you say, unpaid carers.
Yeah, yeah.
These unpaid carers, people who would otherwise...
are propping up the whole system.
Propping up the system, who would otherwise engage actively in our economy.
Paying
tax. They're paying taxes, having a job. I mean, there's countless stories out there of people who had fantastic careers whose mum or dad got sick, and they then had to leave those careers in order to look after them.
Yeah.
And that has a cost to the economy.
Yeah, it does.
So, you know, and that adds an extra layer of complexity to these numbers we're talking about. But the cause of it is private equity firms. That's why it's got a cost, a human cost, a financial cost to those people, and a literal societal cost in lost tax revenue. And
it's interesting to see how other countries actually fix their social care system, and they do seem to be more akin to like an NHS. But it's fascinating to me. France has got a great system. Everyone over the age of 60 is guaranteed at least some state-funded help if they need it. Local authority assesses the level of need using a standard national tool, and it grades people from 1, the most severely impaired, to 6, the least impaired. So everybody's entitled. And the costs of care are shared between individuals and the state, unless people earn less than 933 euros a month, in which case the state pays the full cost. And that seems like a fairer way of doing it, rather than setting a cap or doing it at the other end, just saying if you earn less than this amount, then we give you this much, and if you earn less than that amount, we give you that much, and if you earn, you know, if you're on 10 million a year, see ya, right? Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a little bit like the NHS argument, isn't it? You know, do I believe that a multi-millionaire should be able to use the NHS free at the point of need? Yes, I do. I think, you know, it's interesting how social care over the years has been separated from health, from the NHS, because it's a basic human need that all of us will eventually
require.
Some sooner than others.
Some
really.
sooner than others. And, like, you know, I find it so exhausting to see some of these papers, I know we'll get onto it, you know, talking about a death tax and we're having a higher tax burden. You know, you look at the Scandinavian countries, they have an enormous tax. They pay enormous amounts of tax, all of the people over there.
But they get
their
their
public
money's
services
worth.
are fantastic. Exactly.
They get their money's worth.
Exactly.
We are highly taxed, but we've got rubbish systems.
Precisely. So
I wouldn't mind if we got the same sort of system.
And I don't think many people would. So it's a complete straw man argument to be talking about taxes and how this is a, you know, we can't tax more in order to pay for this. It's like, well, actually, if we were serious about turning this country around and making sure that we had good public services, that does result, that equals higher taxes. But the thing is, we get our value for money because those services are good. Currently, as you say, we have a huge tax burden that is being funneled into the pockets of private interests because we don't have any government that is brave enough to turn around and say we're not standing for this anymore. And equally, by design, over the decades, these systems and these industries have become so rotten with debt that it's now almost an impossible situation for the government to reform them because the whole thing will collapse.
Yeah, I mean, it is so bad, isn't it, when you look at it in that regard and look at all these people who are asset stripping this country.
Yeah.
And we've got that situation now where you've got private equity companies coming in and buying housing stock in order to rent, just to rent it out. And that should be banned.
Exactly.
Well,
but
have we learnt nothing?
Totally. But that precisely, I think everyone is outraged about that. That is what is happening in our social care sector.
Yeah.
As a company will buy a set of care homes, sell it to itself, and then charge the people in those care homes rent. That's a reality that's happening up and down the country.
And then ship the money somewhere and run on debt.
And this isn't you know, conjecture. This is fact.
No, I know. Yeah.
This is exactly what's happening. These profits are being sent overseas. Meanwhile, 1 in 5 care workers are living in poverty. The system is rotten, and there is no, you know, we talk about the water industry a lot when I come on here, I know, and, you know, that is public vandalism. This is equally public vandalism that is taking place in plain sight, but because no one's talking about it, they get away with it. We're becoming increasingly aware that these water companies are absolutely taking the mick and that they shouldn't be able to run anything. You know, they haven't invested in any of our infrastructure. No. This is what the social care sector is as well. It's the same problem. So if we're going to get serious about tackling the water companies, we need to do it with the social care sector as well.
Where do you start, though? Like you said, it's just a disaster, isn't it, of just inertia.
It's a product,
of people,
you know,
just not bothering.
I mean, unfortunately, you know, you can call me a loony lefty, but this is the product of capitalism. This is the product of turning or seeing, rather, public services as a profit-making machine rather than as a public good. This is where you get.
Fundamentally, I don't disagree with capitalism, but I do disagree with the selling off of British assets to private companies. So I think both can run at the same time. I think both things can be true. But what they're doing with the water, electricity, all the things that we need, and even the potential nuclear in the future owned by the Chinese. I mean, that's just...
We'll call it hyper-capitalism then, just so we agree.
OK, we'll agree on that. All right, we don't want to fall out. So we're talking about the care sector and who should pay for it and how do we pay for it, and are you on board with higher taxes? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening. I was just giving Cody some gossip from the industry.
Yes, for our ears only.
Good gossip, but I would be sued, so we're not going to say it on air. Let's have a look at the papers, Cody. The Times, sun-scorched fields of Blackheath. Gosh, I didn't recognise it. In southeast London have turned brown as Britain swelters. Because whenever you do your TikTok stuff and your Instagram stuff, which you must find Mr. Cody Darla on TikTok and on Instagram, he's absolutely brilliant. You're in this beautiful sort of, it seems like a countryside area.
It does, yeah.
And it may be just clever framing, but it's got less and less green.
It has.
In the last few weeks.
It has indeed. It has.
There's normally
yes.
this luscious green background.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's now dry as a bone.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I do not film on the sun-scorched fields of Blackheath.
No.
So.
No, that looks just barely recognisable, is it really?
Yeah, I mean, this is the reality of the climate collapse. I'm afraid. You know, 10 years ago, you might have seen this in a sci-fi film. I mean, it's amazing how dissociated you can become and how normalised it becomes. Like you say, you know, you walk around London now and it's just scorched fields,
yeah.
and you sort of just wander by and accept it as normal. And then the next thing you know, there's a drought. And this, unfortunately, you know, for any naysayers out there around climate change, it's literally all around you.
And we'll
it's
look at
getting
the
more and more
fires
serious.
in Europe
Yeah.
as well. And there was a fire in Romford earlier on today as well. It seems to have settled,
Yeah.
otherwise we'd bring you more on that.
There was a fire next door to me a couple of weeks ago. I was evacuated from my house.
Were you?
Yeah, because there was a tree fell on the overground lines in Walthamstow and the whole track caught fire because it was so dry.
Oh,
I had to evacuate with my cat.
Thank goodness you took... What's the cat called?
Mush.
Mush.
Yes.
Good name. So Mush is safe.
Mush is safe and
good.
sound, don't you worry.
What about the girlfriend? Did you just
girlfriend
leave her?
was fine. She was useless. She was useless. She went to pieces. But I was actually watching Wimbledon, so I'd had a bottle of wine, so I dealt with it very well.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, it's. I've just, you know, I told you about my bananas last week. That I got banana tree. I've got my banana. Did I tell you?
No, you didn't tell me about your banana
I've
tree.
grown bananas.
Really?
Actual bananas.
Because of the heat?
Yes. And I've had my banana trees for a while since I moved in. I planted them, and I've planted one, and she's had 9 babies, and now we've got another 10 babies, grandbabies coming.
Okay.
Because what they do is from the roots.
Right.
They're
like strawberries.
Yeah, so they grow up from the roots. So it's like having a baby.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you have babies. But I noticed the other day that I've got not strawberries on a banana tree, bananas. Actual banana. I'll show you a picture in the break.
Wow.
I've got bananas, and I've just bought an avocado tree because avocados are now growing in London.
Wow.
I mean, that is extraordinary, right? I've
Yeah.
got a fig tree and I've got more grapes than I know what to do with. So
Well, it sounds like you're going to be fine in the climate
I'm gonna be
collapse.
all
You're
right.
going to be self-sufficient.
you can pop round.
Thank
Cody.
you. Fantastic.
That's all right, and I'll be making wine with the grapes as well. So
I'll be filming TikToks next
We'll-
to the banana tree.
we'll be all right. We'll be fine. Keep each other entertained. Bring the cat. Lovely. And the girlfriend, obviously.
Oh, fantastic.
I've literally just had delivered yesterday an avocado tree.
Wow.
Because I'm thinking, well, why not?
Why
So
not?
let's see if we can grow avocados.
That's interesting where your mind is going. Mine is panic. Mine is panic for the survival of the human race, and you're thinking avocado on toast.
Future-proof my garden. I've got bananas. I mean, look, I could open a greengrocer's maybe. There wouldn't be much stock. But I think for me, actually, it's just a fascination of seeing if these things can grow, because I've loved my banana tree. I mean, I take care of them. I wrap them up in the winter. I put fleece around them and all that kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. But I never expected it to fruit. Never. But absolutely mind-blowing when I saw it.
It is, yeah, it's mind-blowing.
What the
Well,
hell is
hopefully
going
they
on?
survive the wildfires that could be affecting London.
Well, yeah, I mean, but talking of planting and things like that, I think that's going to have to be our future in this country. We're going to have to change what we plant, what we grow, how we grow it, and what we're... Because my garden doesn't need watering very often.
No.
So
Well,
it's
I mean,
things
this
like
is that when, you know, people ask often why their food bill's always going up. I mean, there's obviously a slightly complicated picture, but a big reason for that is climate change.
We'll see orchards of avocado trees. There are some trees in London.
Well, but that's why we've got wine now, isn't it? That's why English wine is doing so well.
Yeah, we're just going to have to rethink everything because this is getting crazy now.
Yeah. Sunday Roaster's getting an update.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Avocado on toast.
Avocado on toast, banana split.
Yeah, exactly. It's all there.
It's all there.
And
Doesn't sound bad to me.
And some nice white wine. Trouble is, I don't like white wine. But anyway, I'll get used to it.
OK.
Get a tax rebate from your mayor. Local lead, whenever have we had tax rebates? That's funny. That's a good joke.
Oh, it's this April Fool's.
It's a good joke. Some of England's metro mayors are planning to offer tax rebates to residents under devolution plans. Yeah, sure. What a load of nonsense.
But you see, this is interesting to be talking about rebates at the same time we're talking about social care.
Yeah.
You know, we should be investing it in social care then.
I mean, this is all just to try and get us happy about the fact that devolution is going to be incredibly expensive.
I see. I see. They're being sneaky, are they?
They're being sneaky.
Right.
They're trying to bribe us, and we are not Gianni Infantino. So, I'm not him anyway. The Daily Telegraph calls grow for England to boycott the World Cup. I just did an interview, Cody, I don't know whether you heard it out there, about this FIFA sell-off. I mean, it's just shocking.
It is shocking, but entirely predictable. Once again, I don't want to keep banging the same drum, but we've entered a period of capitalism where we
hyper,
super capitalism, where we have an oligarchy, a world oligarchy that operates
just
as
sucking
they
everything
please.
out
Exactly.
of
I mean,
society.
The World Cup already this year was the most expensive it has ever been. We're talking billions and billions more. I think Qatar was 7 billion, and this year it was 15 billion.
Yeah.
And now suddenly they're talking about Gianni Infantino is talking about creating a private company valued at $20 billion. The main investor, a man called Joshua Kushner, who is the brother of Jared Kushner, who is, of course, married to Ivanka Trump, who is, of course, Donald Trump's daughter.
I don't see a connection there, Cody.
Interesting. I might be hallucinating.
I think that's ad hoc.
But this is the world we live in now.
Yeah.
People act with total impunity.
It totally disgusts me because it is such. They're just sucking the joy out of absolutely everything. There is nothing that any of us can do now without it costing an absolute fortune. I mean, literally, there is no freedom. There is nothing that doesn't cost us money now. I was talking to my driver the other day who was saying, you used to be able to just go and drop your mates off at the airport. You can't do that anymore without having to pay, a fortune to do everything. That they've found every single little way of charging us for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's just where's the joy in anything?
I know. This is what happens when you allow billionaires to exist.
Yeah, well,
this is literally what happens.
I completely agree with you on that. So that's the World Cup thing. Really interesting. But Infantino's going to be voted back in next year, and this is going to pass because he's unopposed because he's offering small countries £40 million, which they wouldn't be able to get any other way.
And this is again the insidious nature of economics. It's like, this is a completely crooked system that's about to be born, but
we'll use bribery to
exactly. What is it but bribery?
Wow.
That's what I would call it. It's nothing. It is total bribery.
Yeah.
You say you've got to go with this, but if you do go with this, you'll be financially better off.
Yeah. And who knows what will that money be spent on? There'll be no checks and balances.
Totally.
On those countries, so it'll all be going into the back pocket and gold taps of some.
Oh, they're saying it's like the European Super League, but worse. Those years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good place. Trump vows to give Iran a beating for a surprise attack, and interesting because my sources are telling me they're running out of weapons, and that's why he stopped bombing the other night.
Yeah. Well, they're down to about 2,000 Tomahawk missiles, aren't they?
Yeah. I think it's even lower than that.
Really?
Yeah.
It takes about 3 years to make one?
Yeah, it takes 1 second to blow one up, and then 3 or 4 years to build one.
And how much do they cost?
They cost millions, and that's the other thing, is that the math ain't mathing, because they're spending millions on these Tomahawks to blow up something that cost 30 grand.
Yes, the drones.
Yeah, and Ukraine has come up with a system of building really cheap versions of these missiles, so that they're not as so they can blow up the drones and other things. So they've really managed. I mean, what Ukraine is doing is a future blueprint for war. I mean, it's like, I don't want there to be a blueprint for war, but they're certainly excelling at the moment. But America's in real trouble.
Yeah.
In terms of the keg's breath and all that, wanting to blow everything up and
Yes. Well, the concern as well is about Taiwan, isn't it?
The Chinese are counting the missiles as they're, right, that's one less, that's another less, that's another less, that's right. Right, they're down to about 10 now. We can take Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a decent strategy.
Because there's a lot of... If you look at China, it's fascinating, because I had a look at this...
China.
How many American bases there are around China. It's really interesting if you look at the map, because you go, but I mean, how did they get away with that? I mean, if there was that around the UK, if they were Russian, or even around America, or even one side of America, there'd be absolute uproar. But these American bases, they're really placed all around that area. But the Chinese are going, right, you've got 3 left. What are you going to do?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, he stops bombing, and then Iran does something, and then he gets angry, and then he starts bombing again. So...
I mean, yeah, but they will soon run out, and that will be even more of an embarrassment.
Well, thank goodness the Iran war's going so well for them.
Well, they won it on day one.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. They won it before it even started, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they obliterated all the nuclear stuff. They obliterated it, and then were worried they were going to get a bomb in 6 months.
Yeah. I wonder what they think obliterated means. It's quite a big word for Trump.
It's difficult, because I've been told that the reason he keeps going on about, you know how he says, oh, they were emptying all their, mental hospitals, and they were doing all this.
Yeah, he just misunderstands.
He misunderstood what an asylum seeker is. And he thought that asylum seekers were people
from asylums.
From asylums.
Yes. Well, this is the other one.
And that's why he keeps talking about, they empty all their mental...
The Hannibal Lecters, yeah. But the other one, when he AI generated himself as Jesus, and he came out and he said, I'm not Jesus, I'm a doctor. Apparently he was told to say that it was doctored.
Yes.
And he was like, I was a doctor.
I was a doctor.
I was a doctor.
He's perfectly fine then.
Yeah.
The NHS cancels blood tests after net zero curbs on air conditioning. That is an odd headline. The NHS has been forced to cancel blood tests during the summer heat waves amid a net zero restriction on air conditioning units. Part of the country... Well, presumably it would mess with the blood, right? Blood samples are more likely to degrade in the heat. Well, that's fair enough.
Yes. No, don't talk sensible, Petrie. This is the Daily Telegraph. Everything must be related to net zero and the climate. Yeah. Just for any listeners who aren't seeing this, there is not a single mention about the drought or the climate collapse on the front of the Daily Telegraph. They are instead having a go at net zero. Yeah. Mechanical cooling should be minimised as far as possible to meet thermal comfort criteria. I mean, I don't suppose that would count. Well, I think that they would allow it, is what I'm saying. Yeah. OK. I know I've got a blood test on Monday, and that hasn't been cancelled. Well, there you go. So, I mean, it's probably one hospital that may have cancelled it. Probably some ancient hospital that hasn't even got windows it can open. Exactly, yeah. Right, we've got to take a break. We're late. Cody and I'll be back in just a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and it's good to have your company. It's Petrie here with you, and with me is the fabulous Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of the Truth, in my opinion, podcast. And you've got to go and find him on TikTok or Instagram as well, under Mr. Cody Darla. He's very, very funny. Looking at The Independent, whew, scorched earth Britain, again, they've chosen the picture of Blackheath, and Cody spotted an ice cream van. It looks like it's an ice cream van.
It does look. Is that or an ambulance?
Is that,
So
I think I'm going to go for ice cream van, but there's nobody there. There's about two people out on Blackheath, which is more sort of a brown heath at the moment, isn't it?
Yes. Kudos to the ice cream man.
Yeah,
though,
good
spotting
try.
an opportunity.
Yeah, spotting an opportunity. Next time, make sure there are people there. Yeah. I don't know why this seems to be the photograph of Blackheath. I suppose it's an expanse, isn't it? So you can get the full scale of the drought there. But yeah, that is something else, isn't it? Right, Cotterell. Oh yeah, this is George Cotterell. Crikey, transferred $2 million to his mother before she donated 750,000, I think, or $1 million to Reform.
I think it's up to 1.5 million now, actually, Petrie. Yeah,
Blimey.
I believe in total. These
The two are not connected, though, just so you know.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. No, of course not. But and I think it's kind of gets lost in the coverage, I think. But it's worth reminding people that the reason this is so serious is because these donations were not declared.
Yeah, no, I keep saying that.
Yeah.
I was, we're having to go at Nigel. No. The money is one thing, which I think needs to be discussed. But being given money is one thing. Not declaring it is the issue. That's what he's in trouble for.
That's right.
And he keeps saying, "Oh, you just don't want me to have the money." It's like, no, you can have the money, but declare it.
But there's even the Guardian in the article. I mean, they obviously mention it, but it's very important to say that because, like you said, the defence seems to be well, all the politicians take the money, and all political parties take donations. Well, yes, that they do, but they declare them, and the reason you have to declare them is so you can see who is influencing British democracy. This is a clandestine network of fraudsters surrounding themselves around Farage who are using their own mothers to secretly donate money to a political outfit. Allegedly.
I mean, this could be coincidence that he moved $2 million into her account before she gave money to Reform.
Yes, it could just be perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Or not. But yes, I mean, the Guardian are doing a sterling job on this actually, and they're not letting it drop.
No.
As much as Reform keep trying to sort of muddy the water on this issue, they're not letting it drop. And Andy Burnham will place the renewal of Trident at the heart of his vision of a re-industrialised Britain when he travels to Barrow in Furness to announce the next phase of the nuclear submarine replacement programme. I think all of our nuclear subs are in dry dock at the moment.
Oh, really? We don't have any?
Like that. I think there's a real problem at the moment with the submarines being fixed at the moment. And why that's in the public domain, I don't know. I should actually...
Yes, don't say that, Petrie.
Yeah, I should actually phone my brother and find out. Because he's a nuclear submarine commander.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, he's the clever one.
So he's got his sea legs.
Yeah.
No, his land legs. He's a landlubber at the moment.
He'll be like that, going, okay. But he wouldn't tell me anyway, to be fair. But so he's defending Trident, which is a good thing, I would suggest.
I mean, the numbers are just mental there, aren't they? £31 billion dreadnought-class vessels, which could solve the entire social care crisis.
Yes, I know, but there's no point having a decent social care system if we're being bombed by Russia.
I think it'll be fine.
I don't share your optimism with that. I really don't. I think we do need to have a deterrent, so to speak. Right. The iPaper, take a shorter shower to save water in a drought, the public are urged.
Yes.
Right.
It's now it's our job to save water. because
Not the water industry.
the water industry, I'm afraid, has failed to build a single reservoir over the last 40 years.
That is shocking,
But
isn't
now you must take shorter showers, everyone, whilst also, if you're living in London or if your supplier is Thames Water, paying 35% more on your bills every month, whilst that extra payment is going to the bonuses for those bosses
Who have failed.
who have failed to create any form of
Yeah, I
resilience
can't
in our
believe the
water
cost
system.
of Thames Water now. It's absolutely...
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's gone up so
absolutely
much.
astonishing. I pay about £60 a month.
How were they allowed to put it up by that much? Because Ofwat doesn't do its job,
Well, this is.
does
I mean,
it?
well, again, we'll see if Andy Burnham puts his money where his mouth is. Nationalise it, because it's crazy. But again, you take that over. It's a similar thing to the social care. If you did that, it's laden with debt. That comes at a cost to the taxpayer. The infrastructure is completely crumbling. It costs billions and billions of
Because
billions.
they've never paid it. You know, like you said, not building any reservoirs is an absolute national disgrace. And it can't have gone unnoticed.
Well, this is
so
it,
why didn't
yeah.
anybody go, hang on a minute, you haven't built a reservoir?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's expensive, isn't it? It's all in aid of economic activity. If the shareholders are getting money, that's a good story for British business.
Yeah, another year of dry weather may trigger formal water rationing measures.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It really actually is.
It makes me so angry.
It's so heartbreaking.
It makes me
isn't
so
it?
angry.
So a shorter shower is the answer.
I mean, they might have built some reservoirs if we sort of framed it around, you know, that's another body of water that you can dump a load of human excrement in.
Yeah,
that might have done something for
That
them.
might have done something for them.
Some clean water we can put
We can
poo
actually
in.
poison.
Get those
Nice.
reservoirs built.
Yeah. Who pre-rinses before they put stuff in the dishwasher?
I don't have a dishwasher.
Do you put stuff in the dishwasher? You do. You've got to stop doing that. You pre-rinse.
Don't pre-rinse, everyone.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You kind of just an enormous silence.
No, Sam just said only if it's something like Weetabix, which is really annoying.
Oh,
I get
yeah,
that because
that's
that
like
sets
cement.
like concrete.
Yes, and porridge as well.
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
No, the water companies say stop.
Stop pre-rinse. I don't
Save every
pre-rinse.
drop.
Yeah, save absolutely every drop. And here's a tip for people who've got a garden. If you know when you put the shower on and it's cold, it's too cold to get under, put a bucket in there, I've got one of those big gardening folding sort of bucket type things. You put that in there and then the water that would otherwise go down the drain while you're warming it up
Very good.
goes in the bucket and you can tip that on your garden.
Very good.
Yeah.
On your banana trees.
On my banana trees. And I've also got water butts.
OK, you're very prepared.
I've got big butts.
OK, you cannot lie.
You cannot lie, I do have big butts. So that's also worth having one. I've got one in the front and one at the back. So they're really good, they're really worth having as well. So I do think about these things.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're prepared.
I'm prepared, but I refuse to recycle food, or whatever it's called.
Recycle food?
When you know...
Oh, the food bin.
Not doing that.
Fine.
I hate maggots. Right, quick break, and Cody and I will be back in just a mo.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. This is Talk, and it is Petrie, and with me is the wonderful Cody Darla in the studio to go through the papers. He is a comedy writer and host of the Truth, in My Opinion podcast, and I'm going to plug his book again. It's called The State of This, a Thicky Dum-Dum's Guide to British Politics by Cody Darla, and it's out in November, but you can pre-order it now. And it basically, you took questions from some of your viewers and listeners and researched them diligently.
Exactly. Questions like, why are my bills going up? Why is my rent so high? Why did we Brexit? Is the House of Lords full of a-holes?
Possibly.
Big questions.
Yeah, big questions.
Big questions. All of the answers to which
are in the
book.
And explained in a way that even if you're a thicky dum-dum...
A thicky dum-dum is a very inclusive term.
It is.
I notice people using this almost like it's an insult. You're absolutely forgiven for thinking it is, but it's actually, we're all thicky dum-dums. So I'm not calling anyone...
No, none of us understand what's going on.
Exactly. The world is complicated, we're all thicky dum-dums.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but thank you. Right, the Metro, future looking droughtful. That's quite clever. For Baking Britain, again using Blackheath. There's one photographer out today who took pictures of Blackheath and sold them to all the newspapers.
It's hot. It's hot. You don't want to be out there today. That's why. Him and the ice cream van have spotted an opportunity.
Maybe he was doubling up as the ice cream man.
Quite possibly. Yeah, quite possible.
Or woman.
Or woman.
The Daily Star, Burnham carer boost, PM Andy cheers up Fiona. This is a story about Fiona Phillips. Her hubby, Martin Frizzell, shared a photo of the star who has Alzheimer's and said the PM's social care speech cheered up our morning. He revealed that Burnham and Gordon Brown had once asked her to be health minister. She got Alzheimer's very young and quite catastrophically, and Martin is caring for her at home. So hopefully people like that will get a bit more support. Daily Express, dying tell PM we don't have time for these delays. Oh, right.
Yes,
put that
these
right.
are the,
I can read it now. Yeah, the dying tell the PM we don't have time for these delays. This is Dame Esther Ranson as Monk's campaigners begging Prime Minister Andy Burnham not to abandon them as he effectively ruled out legalising assisted dying, saying that palliative and social care must be be fixed. I think all three branches should be fixed at the same time.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that there has been too much of a delay on assisted dying, but I do think that palliative care is woeful, and social care as well, because maybe some people wouldn't get as bad as they get.
Exactly, they're not mutually exclusive.
No,
things,
they're not mutually exclusive. I think all three things can be dealt with at the same time.
I think it's quite an immature position to think that you can't do all three, like you say. You know,
I really
no one is saying that if we have assisted dying, we'll stop investing in palliative and social care. No one is saying that.
Nobody's saying that, and nobody's saying that. Oh, the disabled will be put to death, or because it's very specific. The rules are very specific. It's it's going to be, you've got to be 6 months or even closer to death. That's got to be verified by several different doctors and specialists. You've got to be of your right mind. You can't have dementia or Alzheimer's or any of those problems. You've got to be able to go through a really strict process in order to go through this. And this is for people who may be living in a wheelchair or who are catastrophically ill, Parkinson's, MS, anything like that, or don't want to go through the last few weeks of cancer. That's what this is about. And I think the cruelty that we display in leaving people like that to just drag on to a nasty end is beyond belief. It really is beyond belief. So I'd like to see him deal with all of those things at the same time. The FT, the Fed holds rates despite fears of price pressures from renewed Iran conflict. There's no knowing which way that's going to spin off, that Iran conflict.
No.
Suez Canal next.
Suez Canal.
And then we're done.
That's it. Everything stops.
Everything stops then. There's nothing getting out of the Middle East. There was a lovely, I don't know if you saw it earlier, Andy Burnham was visiting an elderly place today, at a care home, and one of the residents there thought he was a candidate for local elections.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was quite sweet. It was quite sweet.
Yes.
But his father's got Alzheimer's,
yes,
so I suppose he's used to dealing with people who aren't quite sure what's going on.
Who are you? Well, yeah, what are you running for?
And who knows who he is anyway?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's only us Westminster watchers who really care.
that really would recognise him in a bus queue if he was in one. The Mirror. This is such a gruesome story, isn't it? That where are our babies? 4 heartbroken mums whose babies' ashes were lost in the twisted undertaker Robert Bush's chaotic funeral parlour reveal their anguish over his betrayal. I don't know where he put my baby's remains. It tears me to pieces.
Yeah, it's absolutely harrowing.
He's in court at the moment, waiting to see.
He's sentenced tomorrow.
Yeah, he has admitted, which is why we can talk about it in these terms. He has confessed, but he's just waiting now to see what the sentence is. So we're hearing from the victims at the moment. I mean, it beggars belief. And also the lack of any oversight on the funeral companies.
Yes, well, again, it's hard to see how regulators don't keep on top of this.
They're just almost completely unregulated.
Yeah, because he admits to 67 offences of denying burials and fraud.
It's just awful, and people were paying into these funeral plans as well, and he was just spending the money.
Yeah.
And then he has the audacity to say, "Oh, well, I wasn't very well at the time." Well, you were well enough to spend the money.
Yeah.
So you know.
Well, there always seems to be a scandal in the funeral industry.
I suppose it's just. It's one of those things where I don't think any of us can imagine that being that much of a scumbag human being that you would treat somebody's dead person that way. I think that's why it's not really looked at. It's the whole thing with Queen Victoria not believing that lesbians exist because she couldn't imagine. So there was no legislation brought out for lesbians. There was for gay men because she just couldn't imagine that women would do that sort of thing. And it's the same, I think, with regulating the funeral
What a brilliant
parlours.
segue.
Thank you.
That's done like a true professional. That was fantastic.
That works, doesn't it?
Yes.
If you don't believe that something needs regulating because you can't imagine anyone would defile the dead like that, you don't bother legislating about it.
Hang on, are you talking about the dead or lesbians now?
I'm talking about the dead now, not the
Okay,
lesbians.
right.
Who I happen to love lesers, by the way. I absolutely love them. Right, the Sun newspaper, only I could get away with saying it. Literally.
Don't drag me into this.
No, I'm not dragging you into it. I'm not. I've got my favourite lesers. They live in. I always send them a card saying that as well. I love them. They're wonderful. The Sun newspaper and the Daily Mail. We'll end on this. Still say your boat's plan is working, Andy. This is hundreds more migrants rushed to board Channel dinghies just hours after the new PM boasted of success in stopping them. I'm not sure they would have heard Andy Burnham saying that, maybe. But and as French admit, waving migrants through, and 1,000 arrive in a day. This is something he's going to have to address with more clarity at some point. He can't just say, "Oh, it seems to be working. I'm not talking about it."
Well, it's just the issue that keeps on giving, isn't it? I do just want to remind everyone that when we were in the European Union, we would be able to legally send these people back to France because we were in the EU.
Yeah, and I always say that as well, but a lot of people go, "No, that's not true." I say, "No, it literally is true."
It literally is true. We didn't really have a small boats crisis when we were in the EU. This is very modern.
This is very modern. This is, if you look back, people used to come over in lorries and things like that, didn't they? More, but much lower numbers. A couple of other little nibs. News is in brief that I just want to end the program. Oh, we're right up towards the end of the show now, but there's a sweet little story here. Britain's loneliest dog finds his forever home.
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
lovely.
See, there's good. I like to bring a bit of light to the shade.
Are his owners lesbians?
I would imagine so, because they are good people, and they will look after lonely pets.
Okay, I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's true. Love you girls, don't listen. So yeah, Britain's loneliest pet has found a lovely home. So that is some good news to
Brilliant.
end. Now there's another loneliest pet that needs to find another home. Do you take a dog?
Would I take it? No, I don't think so. I've got a cat. My cat can't stand dogs. But a lonely dog, otherwise, absolutely, I'd take the lonely dog. So what you're saying, this is a position that is occupied by a dog at any given moment?
Yeah, because if the loneliness
Yeah.
has gone, then there's the next loneliest.
Yeah, that's
who's
true.
waiting.
I wonder if we know where that one is.
We'll find out.
We will.
We'll find out.
Stay tuned.
And it's probably my dogs will tell you they are while I'm at work, but they're lying because I've left the telly on, I've left dog TV on for them, but they're fine.
Okay.
There is dog TV.
They don't listen to the show.
It's like my son, never. I'm too embarrassing. Cody Darla, thank you. It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you so
Hopefully
much
I'll
for
see you
having
soon.
me. Yes.
And don't forget, look him up on TikTok and Instagram.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is
Oh, hello. Oh, all over the place. Hello. It is Petrie here with you. Have we lost a camera? OK. We lost a camera. That's good. So, hello. Nice to have your company this morning. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And this is your Talk Back Hour. And we want to talk to you about social care. I know we talked about it the other day, but we talked about it from a very different angle. What I want to talk about today, because we've got a little bit more detail on social care, is the fact that we are going to have to pay for this. So we know a little bit more about how this is going to be paid for. Now, will it be a death tax or will it be a tax? Because looking at some of the notes I've got in front of me, it's not going to be cutting welfare because the backbenchers have already said we will rebel if you try to cut welfare in any way. So there won't be cuts and there won't be borrowing, because the banks won't allow that to happen, and the IMF won't, the International Monetary Fund won't be happy with that either, and neither will investors. So there won't be borrowing. So the only other way is for us to pay for it. And I, on principle, don't have a problem with a small tax increase to pay for social care. But I don't believe we will get our money's worth, because we already pay an exorbitant amount of tax, and we don't get the services that we pay for now. So I don't think we'll get them when we pay more. Because you look at the Nordic countries, and they have a very high tax burden, and Germany has a very high tax burden, but they do get what they pay for. They genuinely do get what they pay for. If you lose your job in Germany, you get a full salary of your last job for a year, or maybe even 2 years, and then it goes down. So you never fall off a cliff in Germany. It's never a case of going from a good salary to basic benefits. So they do get what they pay for. We have an extremely high tax burden in this country, and our services are pants. They are absolutely creaking at the joints. What Cody was saying is absolutely right. There's far too many private fingers in our services that are just taking all the cash out and out of this country. So not just out of the services that we rely upon, but also out of the country. So we don't even see the benefit to that, these private equity firms. If you just look at what's happened to veterinary practices in recent years, that is exactly the same. So we see the prices going up, and we see services going down. So who's going to pay for this, and how do we pay for it? And how actually does he get us all on board with this? Because he said difficult decisions have got to be made. Now, whenever, we've heard it all before, right? Whenever a politician says that, particularly a Prime Minister or a Chancellor of the Exchequer, that means only one thing. It's not even coded language anymore. It means, when they say a difficult conversation need to be had, it means more tax. And tax on its own will not fix this problem. Tax on its own doesn't fix anything. The systems that the tax is fed into have to be robust, and they have to be run properly. And if they are not, you are throwing good money after bad. And that is something of a national pastime in this country. That appears to be something we are really good at, is throwing good money after bad. We don't fix anything, right? We like with potholes. If you imagine potholes being everything that we run in this country, a problem happens, so we fill it full of rubbish, substandard stuff and brush over it and hope that that's going to hold for a couple of weeks. That's what we do. We don't tear up the road and fix the road and make sure there can't be problems in the future. That's what we do with everything, with absolutely everything. So do I have any faith that paying more will give us more? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because we already do and we already don't. So we don't get our value for money like they do in the Scandinavian countries. They are very heavily taxed. They're very expensive countries to live in, but blimey, they get their social care, they get their health care, they get their welfare, they get everything that they pay into properly because the systems are set up. And I'm going to go through some of the details of how other countries pay for their social care in just a moment, which we've just abandoned. We've just abandoned it to the councils to run, who've got no clue really how to run them. So I want to hear from you about social care, and who do you think should pay for it? And are you happy for further taxation, or are you like me thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind paying a bit more if I absolutely believed I'd get anything for it? Maybe you're with me on that. And if you're a stay-at-home carer, if you're one of the unpaid carers, the millions of unpaid carers in this country, do give me a call, because there's a cost to you doing what you do. There's a benefit to the country for what you do, worth millions, if not billions of pounds a year by you taking up the slack and looking after your loved ones. But what does it actually cost you financially to do that? Because these are the hidden costs that Andy Burnham, I don't think, is being honest about. It's the money that you drag from your own pocket to take care of your loved ones, to make sure that they are okay. So that is also a cost that we have to talk about, because that's a very real cost that you are trying to find on a daily or weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So I want to hear from you about that. What is it costing you financially to have given up work and to be looking after your loved one, but also the money that you have to spend in order to make that loved one's life a little bit easier? Maybe it's adapting your home and you've had to do that yourself, or maybe it's, you know, having to get a specialised vehicle to move them around. Maybe you're not entitled to any benefits of any kind. So that's what I want to hear about, is those, because those hidden costs will no longer be hidden if we get a national social care service, because you will be able to apply for the same help as everybody else, and those costs will then be the burden of the taxpayer instead of you as an individual. So give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Those calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. Well, yesterday, that being just yesterday, Wednesday, the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, spoke at a social care charity. It was a Jewish care in Golders Green, London, claiming that social care in England is as unfair as US healthcare.
I think social care in England is as unfair as American healthcare. The vulnerable pay with everything, and it can completely leave them with nothing. And, you know, that flaw has been in place for a long, long time, and common sense says it can't be fair.
It's interesting, though, because when he was pushed at one point as to whether anyone in his new plan would have to sell their home to fund social care, it was a very woolly answer. It definitely wasn't a no. That will never happen. It was a, well, yeah, that seems to be a bit unfair, doesn't it? So I'm longing to back Andy Burnham on some of these changes, like with education. I'm really longing to back him on them, because I agree with them in principle. But I can't agree with him until I know more about it, what his plans are. It's all very well saying, oh, this is what we need, but how do we pay for it, right? So I can't back him until I know what he's planning and how it might even work. So give me a call, join in the conversation. In fact, be the conversation. Phil is in Preston. Good morning, Phil. How are you?
Morning. Thanks. Thanks very much for taking my call. I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. What do you think about this and us paying more for social care?
Well, like, I'm 83, so I remember quite a number of years ago that they increased the national insurance to pay for this. It was either Gordon Brown or Boris or one of the other two cowboys.
I think you're right. Can you just double check that? I think they did put a levy on was it on our council tax?
No, it was national insurance.
It was national insurance.
Yeah. So I just wonder where that money's gone. Has it just gone into a big black hole?
Of course it has. Of course it has. I mean, this is the point I was making, Phil, is I don't think any of us, I genuinely don't think any of us would mind another 2% tax for this system if we actually believed that we would get this system. But I don't believe it, because we don't have, most systems are creaking at their knees, aren't they?
Well, they are, but it's all right if you're working. But what about the pensioners? What about would that apply to people on welfare that get a lot damn sight more than I get for doing nothing? Would they have to pay?
I'm guessing they will. I think that welfare is taxed.
Well, that's news to me.
I think it is. Can we double check that as well, guys? I think welfare, I think it is taxed. But yeah, I mean, I think, look, I'm just sick and tired of all governments really having no other idea apart from taxing us more. That's the only idea. You're absolutely right, Phil. Here we go. Boris Johnson's government raised national insurance by 1.25 percentage points breaking a 2019 election promise, and I think that was for social care, because of being reversed.
That's where you go, you know. Where's it gone?
It's crackers, isn't it? The introduction of separate health and social care levy tax in April 2023 has been cancelled. There you go. So there was a separate levy on health and social care in April 2023, which has been cancelled. So I don't even remember it being cancelled.
No, but where's the money gone? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah. I just think it's from. Who knows? And this is the problem: is that all of this tax money that we pay just disappears, and we don't know where it goes to.
Like I've listened to radio for years, and nobody's ever mentioned that ever, as I can remember. But just another thing, my ex-wife, she suffered from Parkinson's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she died a few weeks ago. But she went in hospital in Preston, and then they sent her into a care home, which she had to pay for. And as far as I know, my daughter-in-law went to see her, and she was supposed to have physiotherapy. She had no physiotherapy at all. Her feet were locked in the upright position because she'd never been out of bed. And then they brought her food, and they put it on a tray at the bottom of her bed, and she couldn't reach it. So we said...
That's shocking.
Yeah. So we said, well, you know, oh, I haven't got time to do that. And the next sentence was, if you don't like it here, take her somewhere else.
Oh.
Now then.
That's
impressive.
awful.
I won't tell you the name of the place.
No, thank you, because we're getting in trouble by not giving them a right of reply. That is absolutely shocking, isn't it? That older people are being treated that way. Do you think this country has a problem, this society has a problem with older people?
Well, they didn't used to have. The thing is, where I live in Preston, years ago, there are two main hospitals, and a lot of these little hospitals set up and down round Preston, you know. And
like community hospital, like the cottage hospitals, the community hospital. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So if you broke your leg, you won't stay at main hospital.
No.
You send you one to one of these little ones.
Because you don't need that sort of intensive care, and that system worked brilliantly.
It does, but they've done away with them now.
That was Margaret Thatcher, wasn't it? The hospital snatcher. Yeah, no, it was. I think that was under Margaret Thatcher. So, which was a huge mistake, because not everybody needs to be in a main hospital. Like you absolutely say, somebody who's broken their leg, they're well, they just have got a broken leg, they need a bit of physio, and then they can go home, right?
That's it, yeah.
And you've got older people who are, you know, in beds that don't need to be in that intensive environment, who would do well in a cottage hospital, just being looked after, build their strength up, give them some chicken soup, send them home.
Well, that's right, yeah. You know, it's...
Do you have any faith in... Do you use the social care system at all?
No, I don't.
Right. Do you have any faith that it would be there if you needed it?
What I'm saying, I don't. The only place... Like I live about 2 minutes from Royal Preston Hospital, and occasionally I go there, not because I'm ill. Well, I am ill as such, because I've got asbestosis.
Oh, look, so that from work days?
Pardon?
Is that from what you did as a career?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you not get any compensation or anything?
Oh, no. I haven't gone into that, no. But that's the only time I go. And it's like twice a year, so I'm not dependent on handouts, you know.
It's interesting that you would still see it as a handout and not something that you deserve. I find that interesting.
Well, they even tell you now, oh, you're getting a pension or you're on welfare. But I paid in for 60 years into that.
Yeah, you deserve that. That's not welfare at all. That is something you've paid for. The other thing is, though, would you have any faith, Phil, that the social care system would be there if you needed them?
No. No, I wouldn't.
Again, that is depressing, isn't it?
I don't know who'd look after me, really. Like my wife, she's 76, I'm 83, but we're not decrepit, you know.
No. But I'm just saying, if you did need a little bit of extra help, you know, would you even think that it would be there? And that's the interesting answer: is no, you don't.
Not from the state. No, I wouldn't. I've got a daughter, but she lives. Like I live in Preston, she lives in Hastings. It's a bit far between, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, that's quite a distance. But anyway, if you were taxed, do you think that this is an impossible dream then of Andy Burnham's to have this social care system?
Well, they're all dreams, aren't they? You must lie in bed at night thinking about these things, and I'll do this and we'll do that. I won't trust anyone with my money.
No, that much I completely agree with you, and that's what I was saying. I don't think anybody minds paying a burdensome amount of tax, which it is at the moment, but we're not getting our money's worth. We're not getting anything. We're not getting what we're paying for, really.
No, but there's more people. There's more people in this country. It's like the water, or there's a water shortage. Well, the population has grown from 60 million to 70 million, and they haven't built any reservoirs.
No reservoirs.
You're bound to have short of water, aren't you?
And
the population is growing every day.
But it's bonkers to me how these water companies have got away without building these reservoirs. I mean, was nobody keeping an eye on them and saying, look, with population growth, we need more? You've got no choice.
Are they going to be any different if they take over and the government run them? They couldn't booze up in a brewery district.
No, they really couldn't. And it's interesting you say that, because at your age you'll remember British Rail and things like that were run by the government, and they were terrible.
Oh, they're on strike more than they were.
Yeah, it was terrible. And people saying, oh, we need them back under government control. They couldn't run a bath. Well, you can't at the moment. Anyway, there's no water. But yeah, I mean, you can't trust the government to run anything.
No, you couldn't. The thing is, the people in government now, all the ministers, they're swapping one for the other every other week.
Yeah.
You know, one's doing
defence one week and then Chancellor the next.
That's it. Yeah. They don't give them a chance to get into the job before they move them on to another thing.
We've got a definite skills shortage in government at the moment as well. There's nobody really that impressive.
Well, talking about skills shortage, it was Tony Blair said everybody go to university. Because you're not on a leg, you'll be 20, 40, 50, 70,000 pounds in debt.
Yeah.
Well, there's nobody. Right, when I left school, I got an apprenticeship. I was a joiner. I did that as an apprenticeship to 21, and then I moved on. But there's none of that these days, is there?
No, well, Tony Blair wanted a lot of cheap foreign labour, so he needed British kids to go to university. That's the way I look at it, because he wanted to import cheap foreign labour. Yeah,
but a lot of people not put out to go to university, are they?
Absolutely. We were talking about this yesterday. They're not. I wasn't. You know,
No.
So it takes all sorts. But that was the Tony Blair that opened the floodgates to the mass legal migration. And part of that was to, encourage our young people to go to university so that there was nobody there to take those skilled labour jobs, the trade jobs. And so that was an excuse to bring in more foreign labour, cheap foreign labour.
Yeah, I said to one of my grandsons 2 or 3 years ago, I said, why do you want to go to university? He said, I don't know really. I said, what do you want to do? I said, if you go to university, you'll be 80,000 in debt. You get yourself an apprenticeship, and then if you want to learn, you can learn after. But at least you've got a trade which you can fall back on. And he did.
That's such good advice. Because a trade, the trade is doing really, they should, because it's a proper skill, right? They're never going to go out of work either.
No. But the trouble with, people go to university, get these Mickey Mouse degrees and stuff, and I said to my son, my grandson, if you go to university, I can't remember just what he wanted to do. I said, well, there might be 40, 50 people or whatever in your class, and when you get out of university, all them 40 and 50 people are looking for the same job as you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and they're finding out now, a lot of university grads, that there just isn't the work there for them anyway now. So it was a bad bit of decision making by Tony Blair, but I think we know what his reasoning was, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, it's only an opinion of mine, but I think it stands up. Listen, Phil, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed, Phil there in Preston. A quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good morning to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. And this is Talk Back. This is your chance to do exactly that. So we are talking about how we pay for social care. And just to give you a few ideas, I'm going to break this up because I don't want to do all the talking. But France, this is what they do in France. In France, everyone over 60 is guaranteed at least some state-funded help if they need it. The local authority assesses the level of need using a standard national tool. It grades people from 1, the most severely impaired, to 6, the least impaired. Those graded from 1 to 4 are eligible for a care support package called an allocation. People with the highest needs, such as being bedbound or severely mentally impaired, get the most funding. The cost of care is shared between individuals and the state. Unless people earn less than €933 a month, in which case the state pays the full cost. The amount people contribute increases the wealthier they are, and the high earners must pay for 90% of their care costs. People in care homes also have to cover the full costs of daily living, such as food and accommodation, and there is no cap on how much individuals may end up paying. So their care is paid for, but everything else you have to pay for. So that's what the French do. In Denmark, has the model closest to Burnham's vision. So this is what he's aiming for. An NHS-style social care. It was found to have been the most generous social care system out of 12 wealthy nations and regions examined. The state pays 100% of care costs in full, funded via general taxation. People's wealth is not taken into account at all in determining if they should qualify for free care. However, people in care homes still do get billed for their basic accommodation, costs and food, known as hotel fees. But housing benefit is available for those who cannot afford it. So that's the one closest to what Andy Burnham wants. In Germany, adult children are obliged to pay for their parents. It has a social insurance-based model. Everyone must pay a fixed amount of their income towards social care, with contributions continuing into retirement. When elderly people need support, they're assessed and graded into 5 different levels of need, and then they receive a set monthly allowance based on their need level. But this allowance typically covers only half of care costs, with individuals having to pay the rest from their own pocket. While the state does contribute towards everybody's care costs regardless of wealth, many individuals still have to drain all of their savings before they get that care, as there is no cap. Strikingly, adult children in Germany are liable to pay for their parents' care once their parents have run out of money. The Nuffield Trust said this is the only if the child's income exceeds €100, with each adult's income assessed individually. That feels a little bit harsh, doesn't it, that German version? I'll tell you a little bit more about Australia and Japan in a while, but let me read a couple of your messages. Joanna from Salisbury has said, social fund payment, I wouldn't trust the government not to dip their sticky fingers into that pot for something else, just like my state pension pot I paid into for 49 years. The Labour government in 1976 told me paying into national insurance by both me and my employer guaranteed me a pension at 60 years and healthcare free at the point of need. Successive governments have dipped into it instead of investing it, pushing my pension now to 66 years, and it's now a moving target. Yeah, I think Andy Burnham wants to raise it. The 67 to 68, he wants to bring closer, rather than being set for about 10 years' time. My daughters won't get a pension now, but they also won't get an inheritance either because of more and more taxation. I can see why others are leaving the UK. It's our government's use of taxation, and that is where the problem lies. Like I said, I don't think any of us mind if there's a little bit more tax, if we believed that we were going to get our money's worth. And I don't think we do. There you go. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. This is Talk, and this is Talk Back. And Phil from Preston and I were talking about the tax that goes on to benefits, and this might be quite interesting to you. The most common benefits that you pay income tax on are bereavement allowance, previously known as a widow's pension, carer's allowance in Scotland only, and the carer support payment, contribution-based employment and support allowance, the ESA, incapacity benefit from the 29th week, you get it. Job seekers allowance is taxable. Pensions paid by the Industrial Death Benefit Scheme, which I've never heard of, but that is taxed as well. The state pension is taxed, as we know, and the widowed parents allowance is taxed. The most common state benefits you don't pay income tax on are attendance allowance, bereavement support payment, child benefit, disability living allowance, a free TV licence for over 75s, guardian's allowance, housing benefit, income support, although you may have to pay tax on income support if you're involved in a strike. Huh? Oh, OK. Income-related employment and support allowance, industrial injuries benefit, lump sum bereavement payments, maternity allowance, pension credit and PIP and severe disablement allowance. So those are the things you don't pay tax on. So there are more people who don't pay tax than do pay tax. So I just found that interesting. Kevin is in Basingstoke. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
How are you this morning? You're ringing to tell me off.
No, I'm not going to.
As
well,
usual.
maybe I am. But first of all, I mean, tax is complicated, but that last message you read out proves that some people just don't know the basics. She said about, oh, the government should invest her tax money, but it doesn't work like that. That the taxes just goes into general taxation, and when she first started paying tax, I don't know how old she is, but I think she said she was nearly a pensioner. But when in the 50s, when the welfare state started, there was 5 people working of working age for every pensioner. Now there are 3, so that there's a lot less people working. For the number of pensioners we've got. They live a lot longer. When people live a lot longer, it's really expensive looking after their care. And also, you said that, we don't get value for money. But we do really, because if you look at the NHS, we pay for every person, the budget works out at £4,000 per person for the NHS.
Per year.
In France, per year, sorry. In France, it's 5. Germany, it's £6.50. So we don't actually pay that much, and people often quite say about administration. We don't pay very much in administration compared to those countries either. And if you look at, do you know what is our NHS bill? I think it's 250 million, isn't it?
Billion.
Billion, sorry.
Billion. I think it's nearer. Yeah, it's about that. It's a bit more than that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's about 250 billion.
It's under 300 billion, but it's not far. I don't think it's far off that now. Maybe 270 or something.
Do you know how much America pays in just administration for their healthcare system?
Well, they don't have a healthcare system, really.
Well, no, but they have a healthcare system. It's different. People pay for it in different ways, like an insurance-based thing. But it's over $1 trillion because it is insurance-based, and they're always sort of to-ing and fro-in.
You're right. It's 242 billion. There you go.
Yeah, and America, because there's it's insurance. They just don't want to pay for things. So, there's always disputes and things like that with the American system. They say, oh, we're not going to cover that bit. You've got...
Oh, it's disgusting. The whole system is an absolute disgrace in America. It really is. The more you learn about it, the worse it gets. It's shocking.
America, 50% of bankruptcies is because of unaffordable...
healthcare bills.
Healthcare, and also America, they've got 270,000 rough sleepers. If you look at things like road deaths, it's like 40 odd thousand people, where ours is 5,000. You know, their statistics by every metric is really, really bad.
I mean, you have to extrapolate as well that they've got a bigger population, especially when it comes to the road deaths. But even then, it's a lot higher. And look, we don't want to ever go anywhere near a system like America has. It is an absolute catastrophe. It really is. People die because they can't afford any treatment. They can't afford the medication.
Well, no, I mean, I think
awful.
90% of GoFundMe is because of medical
debt.
bills.
Yeah. It's shocking.
Also,
it's awful.
We don't actually pay. We do pay. I mean, obviously, but the thing is, we've been persuaded that tax is a dirty word. But if you're on a low income, if you've got to pay an extra 1p tax, it doesn't actually work out. You pay that. It might be £5 a week. Where if you're wealthy, it's a lot more. So, you know, for most people, a little bit more tax. Like Nordic countries, if you look at all the different sort of taxes that people pay, because it's not just income.
Well,
tax.
it's not here, is it? I mean, we're taxed, what, 5-6 times on the same pound?
Yeah, well, if you look at most sort of comparable countries, Nordic countries, Germany, France, I looked online. And Germany is 45% all the taxes they pay, and most other countries, you know, is in the 40s. There was one that was about 39. We pay 35. So we do pay a lot less tax. That's why we don't get...
But I just think that our systems are not as good. I mean, the German health system, you know, you can choose to go... there's no GP to gatekeep your care. You know, you just go and see the people you want to see. There's a lot of really good things in the French healthcare system as well, and I think that their systems are just better set up. The fact that they've got social care systems set up, they may not be ideal, but they've already got them set up. I think explains that really, really well for us, because I don't think we get our money's worth out of general taxation. I mean, I think the NHS is brilliant. Fully support the NHS. They certainly look after me extremely well. But I think there's a postcode lottery. They look at the maternity care. Absolutely disgusting. We're falling down the charts on cancer care. You know, we are one of the richest countries in the world who pay some of the highest taxes in the world, but our systems are not as good as other people's. And there's got to be a point at which they say, if you want more money from us, make the systems work better. Do you not agree?
Well, I mean, well, we pay...
Just tax money in itself is just throwing good money after bad. We've got to get the systems right. Otherwise, no end of tax is going to solve any of our problems.
Well, if they're paying 10% more tax than we're paying and their services are much, much better than ours, doesn't that tell you that because they pay a hell of a lot more and we pay a lot less, that's why our services aren't so great?
No, I think the systems are woeful in this country. Look at the government waste. Look at HS2. We can't build anything in this country. You've got, you know, Germany, you've got the trains running on time, clean and subsidised. You've got all sorts of things that we just do not get because we've sold everything to private companies who then just strip out all the profit. They don't feed it back into the infrastructure in any way, shape or form. And then the government, i.e. us, has to step in, fix the infrastructure because the systems don't work without them doing that. And we've had to do that for decades.
I'm going to disagree again. If you look at most mega projects around the world, they all go over budget and all go over time. I think it was Frankfurt Airport. It was supposed to be something like 3.7 billion for their new airport. It ended up at 12 billion. There was a railway line in America. I can't remember. It was Florida to somewhere else. I can't remember. But it went 5 times over budget.
Well, look at HS2. How many times over budget is that?
I think it's 3 or 4, but theirs was 5. You know, so we're not the only one. Mega projects always go over budget.
But you also look at another systems that we tried to implement here. Remember that NHS computing system, £25 billion. They ended up throwing it in the bin because it didn't work.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
So I'm talking about that, and that is our money. That's not government money. That's your money and my money that these governments just absolutely just waste all the time. And the only plan they've got, the only plan they have is, oh, we'll just tax them more. There's nothing about them being responsible for some of the grotesque losses. What was that app for COVID? £35 billion? Come on. You know, I mean, so they've got to take more responsibility. That is our money. And what they do when they've wasted all that money is say, we'll just tax them more. We'll just get some more money.
The thing is, that's the Conservatives for you. They was in charge.
But Labour as well. Well, what Labour do is grow the state.
They were in charge of HS2 as well.
Yes, I know, but when Labour was responsible for the PPI hospital, is it PPI, the private-public partnerships of hospitals?
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
And that's disgusting, and we still haven't paid the full bill on that. So don't try and tell me that Labour are good with our money, because they're not.
But Conservatives tripled national debt. Just paying the interest is 105 billion. And if you look at Tony Blair, when the economy grew about 2.5% or something like 3.5% when he was in power. Tories was about 2.5%. So you know they grow the economy more, and they didn't triple national.
They also grow the state more. And that comes at a burdensome cost to us as well. So I think basically I'm saying I think they're all as bad as each other.
I don't think so.
I do. I think that they have little regard or respect for our money. I don't think that any of them see it as our money. They see it as their money. It's government expenditure. Government are paying for this. Government doesn't have any money at all. All of their money is our money. And I wish that they would treat it like it was not their money.
Well, do you know, council tax doesn't pay all of what councils need. The government, they subsidise it. And when the Tories were in power, they cut subsidies to councils, the money that they give to councils, by up to 45%. That was hundreds of billions of pounds.
Yeah, and look, I agree that was probably going too far. But these councils, again, treat our money like they're playing roulette with it. They were investing it in shopping centres and mucking around with our money, making sure that their pensions were all sorted out, and big fat gold-plated pensions, making sure that they were paying themselves more than the Prime Minister. They needed to be told to cut their cloth accordingly. And instead of doing that, they just whinge about it. They waste money as well. The councils, all of them, waste public money all the time. And so they've got to be told it's not an endless pit. There's no money tree, right?
That was Birmingham Council you were talking about.
I'm not just talking about Birmingham Council. There are many councils that are fundamentally broke.
No, Birmingham Council were the ones that were investing in dodgy things.
No, there were other. I think Basingstoke. There were other councils as well that did that. I remember doing a whole big piece on it. There were other councils that were investing in properties that they shouldn't have been investing in. They had no idea what they were doing. But it's not just that. All of these councils, whenever you need a bit of extra money, we'll give it to you, because then they just spend up to that amount of money. They are irresponsible. They are selfish. They don't do the jobs properly. And I mean, my local council got loads of problems, right? Hammersmith and Shepherd's Bush is one of the poorest councils in the country, right, with the most diverse amount of people in the country, and they're mucking around trying to charge us more for parking. And it's like, well, what's wrong with you? Just get on and do the job we're paying you to do, and stop trying to fleece the people who pay your wages for more and more money for less and less of a service.
Well, the thing was that 14 years of austerity, they had their budgets cut by 45%. The councils were trying to invest money to try to sort of bridge that shortfall, but they got it wrong.
Yeah, and they should be sued for that because it's not their money. Birmingham Council also, it got into massive trouble because it was unfairly paying men more than women, which is against the law. So it's not just about the government cutting their money. They're also, like I said, they're not playing the game properly. They underpaid women in the same jobs as men for years and years, and they got a big bill because they had to pay it back because that was illegal. Good. What were they doing that in the first place for? So don't tell me any of these councils are broke just because of government funding. They are broke because they spend money like it's water and they don't know what they're doing. There's not enough skill there. The social services system, ideal case in point. They don't know what they're doing. They should never have been given charge of social care.
Well, do you know civil servants? People always moan about the number of civil servants. When we left the EU, the government had to employ an extra 100,000 more civil servants.
Yeah, to take care of all the stupid red tape of leaving the EU cost us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that costs billions because, you know, civil servants, they're not paid crap money. Do you think 100?
No, and their pensions are gold-plated, diamond-plated, actually. No, I just think that the governments, councils, all these different layers we've got, and we're going to get more with the devolving cities and things like that. It's going to be another layer of government, another very expensive layer of government. They just love it. More government, more cost, more of taxpayers' money going to fund absolutely nothing. So I'm tired of it, and I want to see our taxpayers' money actually being spent on the services that we are promised when we pay it. Kevin, always good to talk to you. I've got to take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning. This is Talk, and it's Petrie with you until the top of the hour. And Joe has called me from Brighton to discuss who should pay for social care. Good morning, Joe.
Hi, there should be a referendum whether we should do it 10% after people pass away or add the appropriate tax. So you should do it by referendum before Christmas.
Interesting. Referendums do cost a lot of money. And would everybody engage in that, do you think?
I think they would be, and they would read the detail. Like, so many people voted Brexit and regret it now and said, I didn't really look into the details. I didn't really read the counter argument.
Yeah, that is true.
And what I found today is how the Conservatives and Reform reacted. I've been hearing from care home providers saying, oh, we agree with it, but we want it to be a franchise system. I'm totally against it being a franchise system. Let me tell you, one of my relatives are in hospital, just had delirium from a UTI.
Oh,
and just came out of it after 6 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
In the time I've been there, 3 people got sent back to the care home. And the care home sent back the 3 people within 3 days or 4 back to the hospital, and they were still charging them at the care home. And you hear, there's people actually ringing with their bank details in the hospital bed for when they're going to get taken out of the hospital and go to another care home, because the care home they left 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, it hasn't got the space anymore.
Goodness me.
Yeah, and you know what shocked me?
That is shocking, Joe.
And you know what I've told you I lived in Bournemouth before.
Yeah.
And I saw the whole deconstruction of the care system. In Bournemouth, you had lots of polyclinics and clinics, and in the New Forest, you had district hospitals. The reason why we've got bed blocking is because the Conservatives believe the free market model, and they totally destroyed all the care homes, just as Reform have just about to shut down.
In their councils, yeah.
Yeah, and they're also going to shut down adult education. And these are all the ghosts of Thatcherism. We lost all the adult education centres who could have been training people in the evening. And after their job, we used to go to college or evening class.
Yeah, yeah.
And they sold all the buildings, like Amberley Road in Harrow Road. They got rid of that and sold the land for property. And that's why so many people don't have a secondary skill. It's not that university students wouldn't say, you know what, just in case I get this mathematics degree, I can also do an evening class in plumbing. And they deliberately shut that down because, as per usual, the free market model, what Andy Burnham...
Yeah, I did a subsidised course as a teacher. So I'm qualified as a teacher for adults. So and that was all subsidised for me, and it was a really, really good course. So I have a qualification in teaching. If I want to go and teach 16-year-olds or whatever, I'm qualified to do that. But that was all subsidised. That was probably about 15 years ago, 20 years ago maybe, that I did that.
What I'm finding today is that you've got people representing in the care homes industry. They want to keep it as, we want to be involved. You know what I think?
They just want the money out of it. It's all of this profit is destroying these systems. And this is why we've got to fight with every bone in our body to stop any form of privatisation of the NHS.
See, the way I see it, Margaret Thatcher destroyed the manufacturing business, and didn't do what the French did, lie to the EU and constantly backed their Peugeot, their Renaults, the government, just like the Chinese have backed all their companies. They don't care about international agreements. They just back their companies. What she did is shut down the manufacturing industries because they were paying the Labour Party, was getting union money. And the same thing what George Osborne said to Nick Clegg, which is in his book, that George Osborne said, we don't do social housing because it creates Labour voters. So the whole project of the Conservative Party was Sir Alan Watson or whatever. I forgot his name. The guy who advised Margaret Thatcher, who was a British American industrialist. He gave her the ideas. And poll tax, buying your right to buy didn't come from Margaret Thatcher. It came from Scotland. She was told to jump on the right to buy thing and spread it into England. So all these free market philosophies have damaged our country because, honestly, I saw the falling apart of Bournemouth. Bournemouth, you remember, it was a big care home place, yeah?
Yeah, I do. And I used to take my son to Bournemouth on holiday occasionally.
Yeah, all the care homes.
When he was very little. Yeah.
And what happened, you had people who owned the care homes and then they started to buy all the bed and breakfasts, or they came from the bed and breakfast industry, bought the care home and then had a care manager run it, but they owned the actual care home business. And that's how it was working, that you could have people who run the hotels owning care homes, and then they get someone who's trained and can reach this. Is it CHQ who runs the guidance for care homes? And they would run the care home. And if you look at most of the independent care homes, the actual owners are not actually the people running the business.
No, and as Cody Darla, I don't know if you were listening to Cody earlier when we were doing the papers, and he was talking about what's happening in the care home industry, and he was saying that these big companies buy them at the property, and then they sell the property to themselves, and then they rent the property back, which then becomes a debt. So the properties now owe the company money.
And you know what I've seen, Petrie? Because I was running a successful computer call-out business, I couldn't believe it. There's 1 year where the Scandinavians just bought all the dentists and vets in Britain. Yeah, Canadian companies just bought all the vets. And when I had to do an invoice, I had to write to Holland to get my money, or write abroad to send my invoice abroad and get it to.
So all the money's been taken out of this country. I mean, that's why there's no growth. That's why we've got no money. All this money we've sold everything. We're selling private houses now to big corporations who are going to rent them back to us. They're going to sell them to themselves and then rent them to us, and that's their loss.
And do you see that Labour councils? There's a story going